Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Brian Wilson. It is 6 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Are you ready to have a good Friday show and then, get home and be with the family this weekend? Well, as you try to make your way home, I'm going to try to make some sense out of what's going on in the world around you. And that's a challenge these days. To be honest with you, I got my hands full with that task, I'll tell you for sure. Well, I guess we'll start off with what in the world is going on with Joe Biden. Again, we're going to be talking about the RNC last night. We're going to be talking about the latest in the investigation into the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. All of that stuff will be covered in the course of due time. But I think the thing that's sort of percolating most right now is whether or not Joe Biden is in or whether Joe Biden is out as the nominee for the Democrats. If you want to know what the official word is from the campaign, it's that he's still in. And some Democrats have been out there doing their very best to defend Joe Biden.
Yes, he's old, but he can do the job and he can win. And I think that that's really fundamentally what we're built for as a campaign.
President Biden is our nominee.
I'm confident that we will nominate the best candidate to take on and defeat Donald Trump. For me, that's Joe Biden.
Maybe if we start focusing on his record, start focusing on what he is trying to do, not only is he going to win, I think he has a chance to win very, very in a big way.
Yeah, President Biden's campaign insisted on Friday that he will remain at the top of the Democrat ticket, stressing in a new memo that Biden still has the support of voters, even as growing number of Democrat lawmakers call for him to drop out. While voters consistently mention President Biden's age when contacted, target voters, both re-engagement and true swing voters, are still planning to vote for him, making it clear the debate has not hurt support among the voters who will decide this election, says the memo first reported by NBC. Joe Biden has made it more clear he's in the race and he's in it to win. Moreover, he's the presumptive nominee. There is no plan for an alternative nominee, the memo says. On Thursday night, Senator John Tester of Montana became the second Democrat senator to publicly call on the president to drop out. On Friday morning, Illinois Representative Sean Casten became the 21st House Democrat to do so. As for Tester, his statement came on the heels of reporting that both Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi have spoken with Biden in recent days to tell him that his presidential bid may cost the party both chambers of Congress in November. In a few short weeks, Biden will be the official nominee. It is high past time we stop fighting one another, said the memo from the campaign. The only person who wins when we fight is Donald Trump. But the memo acknowledged that many polls show Biden trailing Trump. I will not sugarcoat the state of the race. We have our work cut out for us to win this November. Biden remains in Rehoboth, Delaware, and I guess he'll be there through the weekend, but the campaign is talking as if he will get out on the campaign trail next week. Now, against that, which is the official word from the campaign, there are signs. Now, many of you have said, well, I heard he was on the way out. I heard Mark Halperin. Mark Halperin said he's on the way out. And just for the record, here is what Mark Halperin has said over at Newsmax.
Carl, according to multiple Democratic sources, this is happening all of a sudden. Everyone said it would happen gradually and then all at once, and that's what's happening. According to my sources, President Biden has agreed to step down as the Democratic nominee. It'll happen as early as this weekend. A speech has been drafted for him. He will continue on as president, is his intention. He also will not, I'm told, endorse Vice President Harris as his successor. They're hoping that he will endorse an open process in which the convention will be open to Vice President Harris and a few other candidates in Chicago to pick the Democratic nominee for president. The belief is that Vice President Harris is already looking at potential running mates to go to Chicago with a full ticket, including one possibility, Andy Beshear, the governor of Kentucky, and perhaps the governor of Pennsylvania, Governor Shapiro. Other possible candidates who are being talked about include Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, perhaps Gretchen Whitmer, and again, the vice president running. On the first ballot, the regular delegates would be allowed to vote under this agreement that's being talked about amongst the president and high-level Democratic officials. The regular delegates would vote on the first ballot. If there is no winner on the first ballot, the so-called superdelegates would be allowed to vote on the subsequent ballot. This decision was reached, I'm told, all of a sudden because of the high-level pressure from Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, and others, and as well as the decision of many of President Biden's top aides that there was no path forward for him, that he would not be able to win this election, win the general election.
Halpern could be right, but I don't see anybody else coming out with any level of detail about the discussions. Now, we are hearing that this afternoon, Kamala Harris, not the president, but Kamala Harris, is going to have a very high-level phone call with top donors. Now, it could be that what she's going to say is stick with the Biden-Harris ticket. Or maybe they're telling the donors, hang on, things are about to change. We just don't know. We honestly don't know. It's pretty tightly held right now. But when I hear denial, I can't begin to tell you the number of times that I, as a reporter, have witnessed denial, and then all of a sudden, oops, well, it changed. I mean, it just happens like that sometimes. They're going to put up the front until they're told to no longer put up the front. Wolf Blitzer over at CNN was questioning the campaign chair, Chris Coons. I've edited this for time, but Wolf basically asked him the same question 3 times and never got an answer.
Has he 100% ruled out the possibility of leaving the race during the course of all of your conversations with him?
In my conversations with the president, he's been asking for input. He's been asking from all of us who talk to him regularly for advice, for counsel, for input on the polls, on the opinion of our colleagues. But he has communicated to every Democrat in writing that he intends to continue this campaign.
Is he even considering it, leaving?
Look, I think he weighs very seriously the input of those he trusts and admires, those who've served with him. And beyond that, I'm not going to get into the details, Wolf. I think he deserves the respect of being able to reflect on this moment.
One final question. Is he even considering leaving the race?
Wolf, I haven't spoken to him in the last few days. I shouldn't speak to that without direct knowledge.
Well, I mean, you can try. If you ask the question 3 times and you don't get an answer, you're like beating your head against a brick wall. But that's what you're supposed to do. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times I've done interviews where you ask a question, you don't get an answer. And I say, I don't think I heard an answer to my question. Let me ask it again in case you forgot what it was. And then you ask the question again. And then if you come back a 3rd time and say, I still don't think I heard an answer to my question. And if you go 3 times and you don't get an answer, then at least you tried. You asked the right question. So Wolf did exactly what he should have done there. Here from Associated Press, President Joe Biden's campaign insisting anew that he's not stepping aside. Biden's campaign chair on Friday acknowledged slippage in support, but told MSNBC the campaign sees multiple paths to beating Republican Donald Trump. As I will show you here in just a few moments, if you stick with me through this hour, nobody else sees this pathway. It's just really not looking like there is a pathway, and if it is a pathway, it is a very convoluted pathway that relies on apparently everything. Like as somebody said, a royal flush. You got to pull a royal flush here, and it just statistically doesn't look very good. The AP, it's a critical weekend ahead for Biden. Isolated as he battles COVID-19, confronting the reality many Democrats at the highest levels want him to consider, how stepping aside from the 2024 election could be the party's best chance for preventing widespread losses. Biden's campaign is calling an all-staff meeting. That's happening today as well, as I mentioned. The Democrat National Committee is pressing ahead with planning for a virtual roll call to nominate the president ahead of the party convention. I believe that's now scheduled for August 1st. To do it virtually before they actually get there. If Biden wants to stay in, it's to his advantage to rush that, but I don't know that he's going to make it to August 1st. 6 more Democrats joined the chorus calling on Biden to exit. This is from the Wall Street Journal. 5 House Democrats Representatives Jared Huffman of California, Sean Casten of Illinois, Mark Vesey of Texas, Chuy Garcia of Illinois, and Mark Pocan of Wisconsin, and one Senate Democrat, Martin Heinrich of New Mexico, joined some 20 other lawmakers from Biden's party who already urged the president to remove himself from the top of the ticket. Here's what Heinrich said. While the decision to withdraw from the campaign is President Biden's alone, I believe it's in the best interest of our country for him to step aside, Heinrich said in a statement today. Heinrich is chairman of Congress's Joint Economic Committee. He is the third Senate Democrat to call for Biden's withdrawal. The news comes as Biden's senior advisors are mounting a counteroffensive aimed at salvaging the campaign. Absolutely, the president is in the race, they say repeatedly, though no one seems to believe them, but they keep saying it. RedState.com. Biden family discussing exit plans. Are deals being made? Let me just, this is an opinion piece. Sherlock Holmes likely couldn't make heads or tails out of the twisted, torturous convolution surrounding the Biden campaign and old Joe's possible exit from the 2024 election. White House insiders are insisting he's staying in the race, while more and more national Democrat figures are demanding he should drop out. Although few Democrats can hammer the square, Joe Biden isn't capable enough to be our candidate. Peg into the round, Joe Biden is capable enough to remain in the president of the United States whole. That's a pretty interesting sentence. Now getting closer to home for old Joe, the word is his family is discussing his exit plans. So there you go. That would include Jill Biden, his son Hunter, his sister Valerie, as well as a few longtime close aides who've been at the core of these discussions. I mean, the family is definitely, circling the wagons. Here's CNBC, Democratic mega donors, the money people, push Biden to quit race as Kamala Harris events fill up. On a Tuesday in early July 75, wealthy Democrat political donors gathered on a Zoom call to discuss the path forward for President Biden after his calamitous debate performance against Donald Trump. Only one of the donors said they thought Biden should stay in the race. All of the others made it very clear they believed Biden needed to drop out of the race if the party wanted to defeat Trump in November. People who spoke to CNBC for the story were granted anonymity to speak freely about a sensitive matter. So, I mean, the donors are, if you don't have money, you don't really have a campaign. Look, it's hard to read the tea leaves right now. If you twisted my arm and said, Brian, what do you think is really going on? I think at the very highest levels of the campaign, there are conversations that are underway to decide whether or not Joe Biden should stay in. And if he decides to exit, they're running the games like, well, how should we handle this? How could it be? There's a lot of moving parts in that when you have, a virtual convention coming and a real convention to follow after that. How would it play out? Does Joe Biden make an endorsement, or does he just become a neutral arbiter and say, I'm stepping aside, and I think the best outcome here would be to have an open convention and let the Democrat delegates decide who they want to represent Democrats. Now, this all comes against the backdrop of the Republicans' very united convention. You have to also point out here that while the Democrats are in absolute meltdown and disarray, the Republicans just completed what I think was one of the best conventions in memory. I heard someone say today that she didn't believe she had felt this positive about a Republican candidate since Ronald Reagan. It was a smooth campaign. Republicans are united. Trump gave a great speech last night, so everything is humming along here. And by the way, the numbers, which I'll get into at the bottom of the hour after the news, are looking really good even now, even more so than they were before the campaign, before the convention. So Republicans have got everything going right, and Democrats have got everything going wrong. And so there you have it. We'll try to find out exactly what happens, and we'll keep our ears open this afternoon. It's not beyond the pale that something could happen this afternoon. 21 past the hour. All right, let's talk about DT McCall's 5 convenient locations of a company that has been in business in Middle Tennessee for more than a century. Think about that. They got to be doing something right. And I think what they do right is they have a great relationship with the customer, an honest, transparent, forthright dealing that they will do with you. I mean, you go in, you find something you like, you say, how much is it? They'll give you an honest price. Now, the big box stores will not give you an honest price. They'll give you a price, and you may initially think that's a pretty good price until they add on the cost for delivery, setup, and haul away, which, of course, you want, right? Well, then you find out, well, it's really not a good price after all. At DT McCall's, the price they give you will include all of that. The delivery, the setup, the haul away. I mean, all of those things are included in the price that they quote you, and you're still going to come out, I think, way ahead at DT McCall's. Furniture, appliances, whatever it is that you need for your home, you're going to find it there. And this is, again, one of the things I love about them is that they are a Middle Tennessee company that, whenever possible, does business with other companies that manufacture products made in Tennessee. Isn't that what you want, to keep your dollars local rather than give them to some big box store that has a corporate office in Delaware? Of course you do. So listen, if you want to find out about their 5 locations and all the things they can do for you, you owe it yourself to go to their website, dtmccalls.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
A fallen firefighter is honored in Pennsylvania while more answers come out on the shooter who killed him at that Saturday rally. We'll have those stories at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And it's 26 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson. John Michael's in the newsroom, and we got to Chris Weber in the control room pushing all the blinky buttons on this Friday. A reminder that we, on Friday, do something. And really, honestly, I haven't had the opportunity to open the phones very much, given all that's been going on. But we're going to do our Phone Your Farb Fridays at 4:35 and 5:35 today. And I just know that you've got all kinds of questions out there, things that you want to ask about. I think the thing that has focused so many of us is the latest on the assassination attempt against Donald Trump and where that investigation goes. I'm going to give you what I know, and I've been trying to keep abreast of this story as well at 4:05, and then at 4:35 if you have questions or just comments or just, Phone Your Farb Friday is all about just whatever you want to talk about, whatever's on your beady little minds. No, your minds
love that, don't they?
Your minds are not little or beady. I'm why I say that. But no, we'd love to have you weigh in on that. It is again another pretty nice day right now. 84 degrees. There was some rain down near Franklin, right along the I-65 corridor. These are what you call convective thunder showers. They come, they go. They develop, they rain out, but you may get a little rain out there. It's going to be hit or miss, that's for sure. So it is very pleasant, and so a real break from the roasting that's been going on of late. I checked in with our friend Doug Crulin over at B&A, because if you may have heard that there was a major IT screw up. All the IT people that worked for this one company apparently sent out an update to Microsoft 365 systems, and they crashed everywhere. I mean, and all kinds of systems worldwide went down, and went down hard. I just talked to Doug Crulin. I texted with him. He says at B&A there were 263 delays and 35 cancellations. So cancellations, outright cancellations, that's not a tremendously large number given the number of flights that go in and out of B&A. But Southwest was okay. Southwest not impacted at all.
For a change.
For a change. American, United, Delta, and Allegiant and Spirit all had challenges today at B&A. But the airport operations were never impacted by any of this because I don't know. They must have different systems that don't require Microsoft updates. So again, what a mess that is. And it's. I mean, hospitals are having an impact. A lot of businesses that relied on this IT company. I have a different philosophy about things when it comes to IT. Here in my studio, I am the IT person. Yeah. And my belief is, if it's working, don't touch it. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. I think sometimes, we got to update to keep the latest and the greatest and all this. No, if it's working and it's doing the things I need it to do, don't you dare touch it. So that's my philosophy. But IT people everywhere, they have to justify their existence, I think.
Watch it now.
I know. But again, I mean, I like in my home recording studio, which is next door to this studio. I'm running a version of Pro Tools that is 4 or 5 generations past, but it works.
Still works, yeah.
It does what I need it to do. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to touch it. And I'm not going to, every time I used to try, new Pro Tools, we'll update, put the new latest and greatest, and it would crash, completely crash. It would take me weeks to get it back up and running.
Either that or even just almost as bad to me is when you get an update and then they change everything. Everything's different. And it's like, I don't even know how to use this anymore now.
Yeah, it's like, what did you do?
Yep.
Yeah, I know. But, that's the way it is. But again, if you're going to the airport, you might want to call ahead because I think they're still working through the chaos of the morning, and it takes a while for them to figure out how that's all going. Apparently, people were actually getting written boarding passes, handwritten.
Wow.
Yes, this person has paid for their ticket. They had to bring out those machines, the old credit card machines to try to get some tickets taken care of. All right, 31 minutes past the hour, time for the news.
It's 3:30. I'm John Michael with your top stories. Cloudy and 83 degrees right now. The full weather forecast and traffic report coming up. Community members, clubs, friends, and fellow Trump supporters lined the streets of communities in Butler County, Pennsylvania Friday for the procession and from Corey Comparator's funeral. Fire trucks, EMTs, veterans, and family filled the lengthy procession to Cabot Methodist Church in Pennsylvania. Comparator was killed last Saturday when a gunman opened fire on former President Trump. The former fire chief was killed when he dove in front of his family to protect them from the gunfire. Tiffany Simmons with Veteran Representative West for Pennsylvania joined the procession on her motorcycle.
We're here today for Corey. He served in the United States U.S. Army Reserves for 10 years. He was also a chief of the Buffalo Volunteer Fire Department. We're here to honor and respect his service to his country and his community.
We are learning new details about the shooter who tried to assassinate former President Trump at a rally in Pennsylvania last weekend. Here's Alex Stone.
According to sources speaking to ABC News, 20-year-old Thomas Crooks appears to have been at or near the site of the shooting on July 7th, nearly a week before the shooting. The FBI now exploiting his phone and finding he actively searched the date of the Trump rally, looked for information about major depressive disorder, the Democratic National Convention, and bomb making, and he had photos of Trump, Biden, FBI Director Christopher Wray, and Attorney General Merrick Garland on his phone.
Authorities expect more answers to come from their investigation in coming days. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather are next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Populations of animals. I mean, think about the white-tailed deer and how when Ed started, and maybe even before Ed a little bit, they started, working to bring these populations back. And now we have these sustainable populations that we can hunt.
Yeah.
The story of the eastern wild turkey and what's happening with turkeys. So I would consider all these things great successes. The conservation efforts that have been worked on by the personnel for years, I would think that it's a great success story for our state.
You're going to see some footage from an old film that was produced here at the agency in the Game and Fish days, and which shows some things like, the wife taking care of the animal that the officer, the husband, had to bring home to take care of, because they got a call, and times have changed. Now we have the rehabilitators that help out with that kind of thing. And
thank goodness. We got to be really good friends with some of those little animals. And my first commission in 1972.
Okay, yeah.
At that time, it was a little different. The whole law enforcement world was different then. So anyway, we got the first commission in 1972 and worked all over the state. It was really great to be able to do that. Pretty much you had one uniform. I noticed in the movie too, everybody wearing ties, for years and years. You had to, if you wore a long sleeve shirt, you had to wear a tie. It didn't matter if you were doing enforcement or sailing a pond or whatever you were doing, you had that tie on.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And then everybody looked forward. There was one date and it kind of moved. It was generally around April the 1st. You switched from long sleeves to short sleeves and you didn't have to wear a tie. And everybody's going, come on, April 1st.
"38 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair and on the air on this 19th day of July. Thank you for being a part of what we do. We greatly appreciate you being a listener. As you try to get home each day, I try to make sense of the world. And lately, it's been a full-time job. I'm not sure I've got a good beat on it yet, but we're working on it. Time for a 2024 update. And I got to tell you, the convention was about as good a convention as I have ever seen. Ran like a Singer sewing machine, man. I just hummed along. It was perfect. You couldn't really find anything to fault in what happened. It looked like just everything went right off as it went. President's speech last night, as he is wont to do, went rather long. But I think it was well received, a more muted Donald Trump than we have seen in the past.
I'm here tonight to lay out a vision for the whole nation, to every citizen, whether you're a young or old man or woman, Democrat, Republican or independent, black or white, Asian or Hispanic. I extend to you a hand of loyalty and of friendship. Together we will lead America to new heights of greatness like the world has never seen before. We were right there in the first term. We got hit with COVID. We did a great job. Nobody knew what it was, but nobody's ever seen an economy pre-COVID. And then we handed over a stock market that was substantially higher than just prior to COVID. Coming in, did a great job. Never got credit for that. We got credit for the war and defeating ISIS and so many things. The great economy, the biggest tax cuts ever, the biggest regulation cuts ever. The creation of Space Force, the rebuilding of our military. We did so much. We did so much. Right to try is a big deal.
And he says that the cause that the Republicans are now pursuing is a pure one.
There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for others. This is the spirit that forged America in her darkest hours. And this is the love that will lead America back to the summit of human achievement and greatness. This is what we need. Despite such a heinous attack, we unite this evening more determined than ever. I am more determined than ever, and so are you. So is everybody in this room. Thank you. Thank you very much. Our resolve is unbroken and our purpose is unchanged to deliver a government that serves the American people better than ever before. Nothing will stop me in this mission because our vision is righteous and our cause is pure. No matter what obstacle comes our way, we will not break, we will not bend, we will not back down, and I will never stop fighting for you, your family, and our magnificent country. Never.
You know, I think that the events of Saturday, the assassination attempt, have changed the minds of a few people. I'll tell you someone who walked away impressed. You might be surprised about this. I'm not sure you care, but I'm going to go ahead and play it anyway. Mark Zuckerberg walked away saying, you know what, that was something.
I've done some stuff personally in the past. I'm not planning on doing that this time. And that includes, not endorsing either of the candidates. Now, look, there's obviously a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. The historic events over over the weekend. And, on a personal note, it's, seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life. But look, it's, and I think, look, at some level as an American, it's like hard to not get kind of emotional about that spirit and that fight. And I think that's why a lot of people like the guy.
How about that, huh? John King over at CNN. I used to share a lot of flights with John King on press charters. He was my seatmate. For some reason, they always put us together. And so I know John pretty well. He says that he's looked at his magic board of this 270 to win board, and he said that, he believed that Donald Trump had 270 electoral college votes when he arrived. Now he thinks after the convention, successful convention, that it is looking like a runaway.
This is President Biden's problem. This is what the Democrats have to figure out what to do in a month, assuming Joe Biden is still the candidate, because Donald Trump did not need to gain voters at this convention. He came into it already with a lead, and a bigger lead than even our projection shows. Our projection now says deep red, solid Republican. Light red, leaning Republican. If Donald Trump won nothing else but what we have shaded red on this map, he would be the next president of the United States. And while we have been here in Milwaukee, we have seen poll after poll after poll showing President Biden's ditch is even deeper, meaning Donald Trump is leading right here in Pennsylvania, in some polls by 5 points or more. He is leading here in Michigan. Sorry, I'll keep that one red. And he is leading where we are in Wisconsin. That's the blue wall. Donald Trump won those in 2016. He was president. Joe Biden flipped him back, and he was president. Joe Biden also flipped Georgia. Donald Trump is leading there. Joe Biden also flipped Arizona. Donald Trump is leading there. Joe Biden won Nevada, and Donald Trump is leading there. And Donald Trump, this is Nebraska and Maine, do electoral college votes by congressional district. You see this one yellow as a toss-up. Biden won it in 2020. At the moment, Donald Trump is getting all of the electoral votes out of Nebraska. And why many Democrats have been saying, we're not going to give you any more money, Mr. President. We want you to get out of the race, Mr. President, is at the moment there's also polling showing that Trump is at least competitive, if not a little ahead in Virginia, competitive, if not a little ahead in New Hampshire. Democrats are worried about Minnesota. Some are worried about Colorado. Some even say a blue state like New Mexico. Look where Donald Trump is there. I'm not saying Donald Trump's going to win 330 electoral votes, but he came into this convention at least over the 270 threshold. And the polling during this convention have shown the president's ditch has gotten even deeper. Why? He's losing in all 7 of what we consider the swing states. More than 7 in 10 Americans say he's too old to be president. 2/3 of the Americans say the country's on the wrong track. So Donald Trump leaves here in the lead with money flowing into his campaign, and Democrats, Anderson, are still having a debate, even about whether Joe Biden should be their candidate. Now they got a month till there's convention. They have time to fix it, but Donald Trump leaves here what I would call a substantial and perhaps even commanding lead.
A commanding lead, he says. And I don't quibble with too much of what he says. He may be, he's running the best case scenario for Trump, but the best case scenario is pretty good. The best case scenario for Biden is not very good at all. And that's why, the Democrats are calling for him to step down. I do have some additional polls very quickly. CBS News general election poll. This is a two-way matchup. Trump leads by 5. 5 points in the general election poll. If you match him up against Kamala Harris in a hypothetical matchup, Trump would win by 3. Emerson has Trump leading nationwide by 4. Battleground states, only a couple to report here. Trafalgar, a 5-way race, when you add the people like RFK and Stein and West. In Wisconsin, Trump leads by 3. In Michigan, they say he leads by 2. So, again, those you see different numbers everywhere you look, but, I don't see any numbers in the key battleground states where Biden leads at all. Not at all. And everything that I see shows Trump leading in the battleground states. Nothing looks too good right now for the Democrats. I got a couple of other stories here. Republicans view New York as ripe to flip into GOP control. Would that be something? Whew. It's been a Democrat stronghold. Republican has not won the Empire State since 1984. That would have been Reagan, I guess. However, Republicans have pointed to a number of House districts they managed to flip in the 2022 midterm elections that could signal momentum for GOP candidates as they head into November. I know this. In New York, they're pretty frustrated with their leadership, and their leadership is all Democrat. So maybe they're thinking it's time for a change. So that would be really remarkable. Other news, very quickly, Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has allowed Arizona's new law requiring proof of citizenship to vote in the state and local elections to remain in place. This is the nutty ninth. The 3 justices issued an order, according to the Tennessee Star, on Thursday, allowing part of Arizona's new law requiring proof of citizenship to vote in state and local elections to remain in effect during appeals litigation. However, the panel upheld the trial court's decision blocking some of the law. But generally, I think it's the second time we've had an appeals court, a major appeals court, which has backed up the idea of requiring proof of citizenship, at least temporarily. So there is that. And then there's this. Republican leaders on the House and Senate small business committees are threatening to subpoena the Small Business Administration for information on its voter registration program with Michigan. Representative Roger Williams, Republican of Texas, chairman of the House committee, and Senator Joni Ernst, Republican of Iowa, called the agreement politically motivated in a letter sent to the SBA Administrator Isabella Casillas-Guzman. In the letter, exclusively obtained by the Washington Examiner, Williams and Ernst asked Guzman to provide all communications between the SBA employees, small business owners, and politicians in Michigan over the Memorandum of Understanding with the state of Michigan. This is part of the Biden outreach plan to get people registered to vote, and it's supposed to be, bipartisan or nonpartisan, and we're beginning to look as if it was not. It was an effort to make sure that Democrats got registered to vote. They didn't care much about Republicans being registered to vote. So that is, again, an investigation that is underway in a huge way by the Republicans in the House. Thank goodness we have one body of Congress. That's all I can say. 50 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Not every Democrat is calling on Biden to step down. Good Samaritans help foil a carjacking, and it's a cool down that's on the way for the weekend. Those stories coming up at 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, John Michael. Taking a look at the markets, Dow Jones Industrials down again today, down 377 points. S&P is down 39. The NASDAQ down 144. That's 2 solid days where the screens have all been red, and it's been a especially bad run this week on the Dow after a couple of good days, several really not good days. Let's check in with John Maxon, see what's driving all this. Good afternoon, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, we ended with another red day on the market. It's actually, the S&P posted its largest loss since April, so it's been a while since we've had a week like this. It was down 2% on the week. Tech was down a little more, 3.6%. And really, it's kind of the tale of two halves of the month of July. Typically, the first 2 weeks of July is good. Last 2 weeks can be a little shaky. There's been a lot of Fed news that's coming out. Their earnings are starting. And really, the market is headed towards, there could be a slight correction, which doesn't mean we're going to have anything deeper than that, but that's pretty typical. But what we're really going to start to pay attention to as we get into the new week is earnings are picking up. We're going to see consumer confidence and the Fed's rate decision for July. So a lot to pay attention to next week.
All right. Thank you very much, John. And find out about all the things that John Maxon and the other good people over at Beacon Capital Management can do to get you ready for your retirement. Just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. 58 minutes past the hour.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It's 4 o'clock. I'm John Michael with your top stories. Partly sunny and 82 degrees on Music Row. Full forecast and latest traffic report are upcoming. While President Biden faces growing pressure to withdraw from the 2024 race, some groups tied to Capitol Hill are coming out to support the president's campaign. Em Nguyen has more from Washington.
Some groups are echoing the more than 30 congressional Democrats who have called on President Biden to step aside. Dozens of activists from Climate Defiance gathered outside the DNC headquarters in Washington, saying they're there, quote, because beating Trump is existentially important for our climate and our democracy, adding, we can beat Trump, but we need a new candidate to do so. Still, there appears to be support for Biden, including with the Congressional Hispanic Caucus's political arm called Bold PAC, which endorsed Biden Biden today, saying he has delivered for the Latino community.
30 prominent Democrats, however, are calling for him to drop out of the race for president. Many businesses and governments are continuing to dig their way out of that massive outage affecting Windows computers. But that's not the only issue that hit Microsoft in the last few hours. Mike Dabuski has more.
Hours before cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike pushed a flawed software update to Windows computers, Microsoft was contending with a completely separate outage impacting its Azure cloud computing platform.
And that was causing downtime and, glitches and blips for various systems.
Lily Hay Newman, senior writer at Wired, says the Azure issue is now fixed.
They're assisting Windows customers with remediating this CrowdStrike situation, but they say has nothing to do with the Azure outage.
Authorities are still suggesting you check the flight status before heading to the airport. A man is facing charges for an alleged carjacking at an auto shop Thursday morning. Metro Police say it happened at Lucky's Custom Wheels and Tires on Lafayette Street. According to police, 27-year-old Cedric Taylor is accused of approaching a woman in her car, punching her while demanding money. Authorities say the suspect pulled the woman from her car, and she then ran into the business for help. Before Taylor could put the car in drive, the owner of the business ran to the car, broke open the driver's side window with the victim's permission, and forced Taylor out through the passenger side, according to police. The business owner and another witness detained Taylor until officers arrived on the scene. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
6 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock. Hour number 2 of the drive. We're kicking it off on this Friday. I'm telling you, a nice day on tap. It's a pleasant 78 degrees in Nashville right now. That's nice. We'll take that. And there are a few little scattered showers hither, thither, and yon. Mostly yawn, and
is that a technical term?
Yeah, that is a technical meteorological term. So we're going to have showers hither, thither, and yawn. What does that mean anyway? But it has rained a little bit in some areas, which has, I guess, cooled things down a bit. I'm happy to have a little cooler weather.
Me
happy
too,
to have the rain. I'll tell you for sure. If you get it, you're lucky. I mean, we got about a half inch of rain here. The other night, and it didn't do a dadgum thing to my lawn. It still is as brown as it's just a wet brown. All right, I want to spend some time talking about the latest information that is out there with regard to the investigation into the attempted assassination of Donald Trump on Saturday. Not a huge movement in information, but I'll give you what we got. I just want to say there's a lot of speculation out there and a lot of bad information. So I've been trying to be very responsible about what I report to you and try to report things that at least my instincts tell me have the ring of truth to them, and things that can be verified by certain sources rather than just, wild ass speculation. I don't like that. One thing I can tell you for sure is that the U.S. Secret Service Director, Kimberly Cheadle, will testify on Monday. That is now locked in. She will stand before the House Oversight Committee. James Comer of Kentucky will be asking some of the questions. Americans demand answers from Director Kimberly Cheadle about the Secret Service historic failures that led to the attempted assassination of President Trump, murder of an innocent victim, and harm to others in the crowd. It will start at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 o'clock Middle Tennessee time on Monday. So that'd be about the time Chris Hand takes air on Monday. Secret Service spokesman Anthony Guglielmi said the agency is committed to better understanding what happened before, during, and after the shooting to ensure it never happens again. This, according to CBS News, others reporting the same. Majority of Trump's security detail were not Secret Service. Whistleblower tells Senator Josh Hawley from FoxNews.com. Whistleblowers allegedly claim the majority of security personnel at the Butler, Pennsylvania rally were Homeland Security investigations agents. Whistleblowers inside the Department of Homeland Security have alleged that the majority of the security detail for former President Donald Trump were not even Secret Service. Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri relayed these claims in a public letter to Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas on Friday, outlining a series of security failures at Trump's fateful Butler, Pennsylvania rally. Whistleblowers who have a direct knowledge of the events have approached my office. According to the allegations, the July 13th rally was considered to be a, quote, loose security event. For example, detection canines were not used to monitor entry and detect threats in the usual manner. Individuals without proper designations were able to gain access to backstage areas. Other lapses in security protocol allegedly included a lack of personnel stationed around the security perimeter and an inadequately enforced buffer zone around the podium. Among the most troubling is the claim that the majority of personnel protecting the former president were not Secret Service agents. How about that? Senator Ron Johnson previously detailed the Secret Service briefing given to senators on Wednesday, saying that they got virtually no information. And that has been said by anybody who was on that phone call, including our own Marsha Blackburn. She's about had it with the Secret Service. Here we go from the Washington Examiner. Secret Service had limited resources for Trump rally due to NATO summit, according to, again, whistleblowers. Whistleblowers told the House Judiciary Committee that Secret Service resources were stretched thin last week ahead of the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, where the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump occurred, because the agency was also protecting the NATO summit, the committee said in a letter to the FBI on Thursday. Committee Chairman Jim Jordan wrote that he had learned from the unnamed whistleblower that the FBI was present during 2 briefings on July 8th when the rally was discussed. Secret Service Special Agent in Charge Tim Burke told law enforcement personnel during the briefings that the Secret Service had limited resources that week because it was also covering the NATO gathering in Washington, D.C. Jordan acknowledged the FBI was not the sole law enforcement entity responsible for rally security, but added it is the lead federal investigative arm and a key source of intelligence on potential threats for special events in its area of responsibility. Well, that's troubling, but understandable. Absolutely understandable that might well be the case. That with NATO, and then remember what you got. You got Biden out there. You got Trump out there. You got Kamala out there. Now you have to provide security for J.D. Vance. You got family members like Hunter Biden and Jill Biden who have their own protective details. You add to that, the NATO summit you have world leaders. And of course, it would have been disastrous had something happened to a world leader while they were in Washington. So they pull in a lot of, I can understand why they might be thin, but I mean, that doesn't excuse the situation and certainly doesn't explain why there was nobody on the building. TheHill.com, 4 revelations raising heat on Secret Service after the Trump shooting. Number 1, almost hours between person of interest and threat. They had identified this individual more than an hour before Donald Trump got on the podium. And they had him as a person of interest. He did not become a person of threat until they noticed, when the Butler Police Department noticed he had a gun. It's now known that Crooks visited the rally site July 7th to scout out the location and visited earlier in the morning of the rally. Cheadle and FBI Director Wray told senators in a half-hour conference. Number 2, Trump allowed onto stage 10 minutes after the hunt for the shooter began. Lawmakers are in particular frustrated about why Trump was allowed on the rally stage after law enforcement became aware of a suspicious person in the area. I mean, come on. In a stunning scene Wednesday, we saw it. You had senators actually chasing the Secret Service director, trying to get answers to that question. Number 3, no one placed on the roof. Local authorities said they couldn't secure the building. Questions still swirl as to the reasoning behind no officers being sent to the roof of the building. The gunman climbed ahead of the rally start even after Crooks was flagged as a person of interest in the area. No agent was placed on the top of the building because it had a sloped roof. We've all seen the pictures of the snipers on a sloped roof, more sloped than the one that the shooter was on at the Butler rally. I've also seen a picture, and I don't know why I didn't think about this, of snipers on top of the White House, which has a very pitched roof at points, and they don't seem to have any trouble at all with being up there. The motive, number 3, is that at 3? Motive yet to be pinned down. 5 days after Crooks, I guess that's number 4. Is that right? Is that number 4? It doesn't matter. No, it's number 4. Motive yet to be pinned down. 5 days after Crooks attempted to kill Trump, federal investigators seem no closer to understanding the gunman's motives. Cheadle, Wray, and FBI Director Paul Abate, who briefed the House and Senate by phone Wednesday, told lawmakers there was still no clear motive as to what was getting this guy to go off and take a pot shot at Donald Trump. And there is about 1/3, this is an amazing story from the Free Beacon. 1/3 of Democrats believe false conspiracy theory that Trump staged his own assassination attempt. Are you kidding me? A conspiracy theory that has run unabated in Democrat circles following the assassination attempt. It posits that Trump staged the shooting for a photo op, that the wound on his ear was caused by something other than an assassin's bullet, and that he was never in mortal danger. Okay, how do you explain the one dead person and the two injured people on the stage behind Donald Trump? How do you come across and say and explain the fact that everybody in the arena heard a total of 10 shots? And so if am I led to believe that they put Trump up there and said, this guy's so good he's going to nick your ear, don't worry? Nobody would do that. Nobody would stand for that. I mean, it's just ludicrous and insane that they just cannot believe it. But I mean, there's the Democrats are bizarre on this issue. Listen to this. Metro Nashville Council member Jenny Welsh, District 16, said former President Donald Trump called for the July 13th assassination attempt he survived during a campaign rally. That's right. She blocked a resolution condemning the assassination attempt of Trump and said that the former president called for the shooting. It touched Mr. Trump because Mr. Trump had been calling for this and that. People heeded his call, Welsh told Fox 17. Welsh's refusal to condemn the assassination attempt of Trump following her and Metro Council member Terry Vo's efforts during Tuesday's council meeting to block a resolution condemning the assassination attempt of the former president and all political violence from being discussed. I mean, the resolution introduced by council members Courtney Johnson, Jeff Eslick, and Bob Nash condemned the attempted assassination of former President Trump, all political violence, and honors the victims of the attack and the actions of the Secret Service. Now, and the Democrats couldn't stand it. This tells you a lot. These are the same Democrats who stood in the way of having the convention in Nashville and denied our economy the millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars that ended up going into the coffers of the businesses in Milwaukee. Insane. And this tells you everything you need to know about how the Metro Council operates. They are so blue, it's scary. It is so scary. It is a nightmare what we have in the Metro Council, and some of the people who represent there are just. I mean, well, they call them, you know what they call them now, after the thing called QAnon? They're calling the Democrats who have these conspiracy theories blue anon. I like that. Blue anon. In a moment, whatever happened to that pier that was costing us millions and millions of dollars to build off the coast of Gaza, off the coast of the Gaza Strip? Well, I'll tell you about it coming up after the break. And it's 20 minutes past the hour. You know, we've had in the spring a lot of moisture, and then we have had what I think you'd have to call drought conditions, very, very hot weather. And those two things, extreme moisture and extreme hot drought conditions, are the main cause of a foundation failure. You see, soil swells during the wetter months, shrinks during the drier months, and that fluctuation can create voids, which allow for settlement under foundation walls. Honestly, if you're seeing the walls bowing, the doors or windows sticking, drywall separating, stair-step cracks in masonry mortar joints, you need to call the folks I would call the folks over at USS, United Structural Systems. And here's the other thing that they want you to know. Think about this, for example, the USS Polylift system. If you have sidewalks and driveways that are sinking, you have sinking slabs or patio steps, your porch maybe your porch steps are now tilted, your sidewalk or patio has shifted. All of these things can be fixed with the Polylift system, which doesn't take very long. The work can be completed in a couple of hours. You can walk on it immediately, drive on it in 30 minutes, and it makes everything level and plumb, just like it was supposed to be. If you'd like to do it, by the way, it's cheaper than replacing the concrete. Don't replace it, raise it. The number to call over at USS is 615-488-7855. Learn more at their website, USSTN.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
The latest on the president's health and money news from Wall Street: cooler but wet weather is on the way this weekend. Those stories at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 25 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am your friend and radio buddy, Brian Wilson. And, this is Friday. And on Friday, we always open up our phone lines for a little thing we call Phone Your Farb Friday. And what we love for you to do is, just whatever's on your mind. If you got something, and maybe you want to say what you think about the convention last night. Tell me what your favorite part was, the convention this week. It's been a great convention. Maybe you want to take umbrage with something that I've said. I understand there's a lineup of IT professionals who are not happy about some earlier comments I had in the 3 o'clock
you're going to
hour.
regret that, buddy.
I sincerely apologize to IT officials, IT professionals everywhere. So there you go. That's out of the way. Maybe you have some questions or thoughts about the assassination attempt. I mean, there's so many people out there. And look, I'm trying to separate the wheat from the chaff here, because there's a lot of chaff that floats around at times like this, and I'm trying to give you what I can confirm and what I believe comes from good sources. That's what my goal here is, and people. And then maybe I'd love to know your thoughts about whether or not you think Biden's going to stay in or get out. People yell at me sometimes. I don't mind being yelled at. It's okay. But they yell at me because they say, well, we want Biden to stay in. Why do you keep talking about him getting out? I don't have any impact over that decision. But my goal here is I've said it from day one. I just don't think Democrats are that dumb. Now, it's gone on a lot longer than I thought it was going to go on, but and there are a lot of people who think that something is up and something could happen before the weekend. A lot of times, things like this break at 5 o'clock on a Friday. Remember, that's the way it works. We don't know that Kamala's having some kind of conference call with donors this afternoon. By the way, there was a photo op with her today. She took her nieces, I think it's her nieces, for ice cream. What is it with Democrats and ice cream? I mean, I like ice cream as good as the next guy, but all their photo ops have to do with ice cream.
Chocolate chip?
Chocolate chip. Okay, there's this story. The United States, I know you're going to be shocked, stunned, and amazed by this, has decided to permanently dismantle the Gaza pier, which cost you and me and hardworking Americans everywhere $230 million to build this temporary pier just off the coast of Gaza. The pier is currently in port in Ashdod, Israel. They have stripped it away from Gaza, taken it to Israel, and will not be reattached to the shore in Gaza, according to an official who said, quote unquote, the mission is over. The decision follows a recommendation by the U.S. Central Command not to reinstall the pier, bedeviled by bad weather and mechanical malfunctions. The Gaza pier has been in operation for only about 20 days since installed in May. The Pentagon had already announced the pier would soon cease operations, although there was a chance it would be installed one final time to deliver remaining aid supplies from Cyprus. They said nope. Now they say, well, it was always just a temporary thing. $230 million for a temporary thing that didn't work. A lot of people knew going in this was going to be a problematic thing, and it was. Your tax dollars at work there, ladies and gentlemen, building these piers so that they could bring food into Gaza. The plan called for about 1,000 U.S. forces to construct and operate the maritime corridor without stepping foot in Gaza. That was the whole plan. Since the beginning of the outbreak of the war between Hamas and Israel, Mr. Biden has said that no U.S. boots would enter Gaza. And as far as we know, they never did. But they tried to get this floating pier to operate, and it was just an unmitigated disaster from the very beginning. And by the way, very, very nearly put some of the ships that attached to it to drop off the goods that they had in danger. You could have wiped out a couple of important ships there in the military flotilla, and it could have caused a real problem for that. So now they I guess they towed it over to Israel, where I guess it will now be dismantled. How do you feel about that $230 million, everybody? Time for the news at 4:30, everyone.
It's 4:30. I'm John Michael with your top stories. It is partly cloudy and 80 degrees on Music Row. Your full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. President Biden is still putting his campaign on pause while he quarantines in Delaware after testing positive for COVID. Karen Travers has the latest from the president's physician, who released a letter this afternoon.
President Biden's physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, says in a new memo that cough and hoarse voice continue to be the president's primary symptoms of COVID, but they've improved meaningfully from Thursday. Dr. O'Connor says the president's temperature, pulse, respiratory rate, and blood pressure remain normal. He completed a 4th dose of Paxlovid Friday morning and will continue taking that. Dr. O'Connor says the president continues to work. He's isolating at his home in Rehoboth, Delaware.
White House officials continue to say he'll be back on the campaign trail as soon as he is medically cleared. For today's Money News, here's Daria Albinger.
From ABC News, Wall Street and how stocks wrap up a volatile week by closing lower in the scramble to contain a global technology outage. The Dow gave up 377 points. The Nasdaq plunged 144 and the S&P closed down 40. A fix is in the works, but it could be a while before the world, yes, the world, recovers from a technology outage which grounded flights, knocked banks offline, and media outlets off the air. Cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike says it affected companies running Microsoft Windows and that it was not a cyber attack. The Treasury Department is warning state laws that restrict banks from considering environmental, social, and governance factors could adversely affect efforts to prevent money laundering and the financing of terrorism. It singles out a law that was signed by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis that says it would be an unsound practice for banks to consider non-financial factors when doing business.
All three major indices were down today. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather. Next, I'm John Michael, WTN News.
Hey, busy bee, when you need cold, heat, whatever you need AC, you need your AC blowing cold, why don't you call this number, 615-775-7833. They'll buzz right over to your hive, get you up and running. If you find that your system had just reached the end of its useful life and it's time to replace it, here's the deal. With the purchase of any new air conditioning unit, you qualify to win a 3-day beach vacation to Savannah, Georgia in August, valued at $3,000. They will take care of the gas, the lodging, and 2 meals a day. And they'll be announcing the winner on Facebook Live. So listen, this is only for clients who purchase a new air conditioning unit in July, and there's only one winner. But look, here's the thing, though. Maybe you just need a little touch-up, a little tune-up, a little fix-up. During the month of July, they will waive the $89 dispatch fee if you just have any repair work done at all. So that's a big deal right there. I keep telling you should become a member of the Beehive Club. And right now, if you buy a Beehive membership, you can give a free Beehive membership to someone in your neighborhood. The free membership must go to a family in your neighborhood. And then, of course, if you have a big project, HVAC, 0% financing for 18 months with approved credit. Plumbing, 0% for 72 months with approved credit. They are your official Rude Pro partner, 615-775-7833. Learn more at busybhvac.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and you're listening to The Drive. And it is Friday, so it's time to do that thing we do on Friday at 4:35, or, about then. Time for a little thing we call Phone Your Farb Friday. What is on your mind today? What in the world do you want to talk about? 615-737-9986. That's right. It's your chance to step up onto our 100,000-watt soapbox and express yourself. Maybe you've got a bee in your bonnet. Maybe you got a burr under your saddle. Maybe you're an IT professional who's angry with the thing I said earlier. I'm going to have to eat crow on that one. Whatever it is, just give us a call. We love to hear your thoughts. The phone lines are coming in, and we got a good start here. And yes, I'll start with Craig in Petersburg, who I think wants to give me a piece of his mind. Craig, you're on with Brian on the Drive. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Brian, thank you for taking my call.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm talking about the story today with the outage related to IT and the CrowdStrike report.
Yeah, just to give people a background if they don't know, the computers went down all over the country. And all over the world, really, because a Microsoft update apparently went awry, and it impacted airports, it impacted hospitals, it impacted the big billboard signs down in New York City. I mean, it just had an impact on so many different things. But go ahead if you want to. Tell me what's on your mind.
What's on my mind is the digitization of money, and the reason why I mention this is that Americans have to be aware that the digitization of money is a power grab. It's talked about in the Bible, but I won't go there. This can happen. The software is as good as the people who make it and how good you test it. But there's a point of failure where you can't see all the different moving pieces. And no one wants this to happen. No company wants this to happen.
You're talking about a massive cascading failure that would make it very difficult for you to get access to your money in a bank, right?
Or credit cards.
Yeah, that's right.
Or cell phone service. We have to make sure that in the government we have checks and balances.
Well, I think what I'm reading is that a lot of people are saying, how could this be so massive? And how can one company screw up that many different kinds of businesses around the planet? So I think they are going to be looking at it. It'll be interesting to see what happens out of it. Let me ask you a question, though. I mean, this is the thing that I've always wanted to know. Why is it that we have so many dadgum updates anyway? If it's working, why do we have to continually update our software?
Well, that's a strategy that's used by software companies to mitigate risk. In other words, that a small update is less risky than a big update. So they will do updates more often.
All right. Well, I figure if it's working, I'm not going to mess with it. But that's my opinion, and I apologize profusely if I offended in the 3 o'clock hour any IT professionals. Craig, thanks a lot. Got to move along here. Michael, out on the road. You're out on the road. What's your thought today? What's on your mind?
Well, I've had this burning question in regards to the assassination attempt.
Right.
How does a 20-year-old that's, pretty much just looked like a loner, unfortunately, and how does he know come Saturday morning or whenever he got there that he can go to that particular building, climb up on that building, and nobody stop him? How did he know that?
Well, I don't know that he knew that. I think he. Here's what I have read is that he visited the scene on the 7th of July and did a site survey. He looked it over beforehand, and
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to kind of disagree because how again did he know that in-site building, less than 150 yards away, would not be manned? And he may.
Yeah, I don't think he did know. I think he looked it over and said, "There's a vantage point." Then he came back early on Saturday, and he was there an hour before the rally looking things over. And I think he just decided that was a spot that he could use to his advantage because I think he was as surprised as anyone that it wasn't covered.
Well, and again, just to take that opportunity to go to that particular building and know, or somehow know, or why doesn't, again, Secret Service and everybody involved on their checklist have been around it for 35, 40 years, and it just does not make sense.
No, it doesn't make it either. Michael, on that, you and I, we deeply agree. I mean, none of this makes sense. I did read a story today that said that, and maybe this will explain some of it. I mean, look, I think there are generally legitimate explanations, and most of the time it is just complete oversight and unprofessionalism. Just screwing up. These endeavors are human, and humans make mistakes. It doesn't make any sense that would be left open. But one of the things I'm reading today is that one whistleblower has said to a member of Congress that it may not have been Secret Service people at all, for the most part, on that security detail because they have been pulled so thin for other things, including the NATO summit. And so that a lot of the people that were there were not the normal kinds of people who would take one of these events and come up with a security plan for it. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. We're going to hear from the Secret Service director on Monday. I hope we get some answers there. I hear your complete lack of your disbelief in the matter, and I have the same disbelief. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. Robert, out on the road, same topic. What's on your mind today, Robert?
I heard about that. The head of the Secret Service there saying that the roof was too steep. But I seen a picture after the shooting when they eliminated the shooter, and there was two deputies or police officers standing over the body on that same roof.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be too steep.
Yeah, listen. There, that was about the dumbest thing I've ever heard from an official in Washington. Yeah. Stupid. I mean,
You're right.
Everybody immediately knew, what in the hell are you talking about? And you had snipers that were on pitched roofs. At the White House, they have snipers on pitched roofs every day, and this was nothing. And yes, they went right back up there, and they were standing up there. I'm shocked by one thing I saw. Somebody that had on a shirt that identified them as being with the FBI, washing the blood away. When did the FBI become responsible for cleaning up a criminal site, a crime site? They're supposed to be the ones who protect those crime sites so that, you know, they can get all the information out of it. What in the world was that all about? Again, it's just, there's so many questions about this. But it was a horrific lapse in judgment and security, like I just can't believe. Bobby in Antioch. Hey, Bobby, you're up with Brian on the drive.
Hey, how you doing, Brian?
I'm doing well. What do you think?
I don't know what to think, because it's so many questions. It's the same thing as everybody else is saying.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think it was staged.
You think it was staged?
Yeah.
Why do you think it was staged?
Because I just say that, you know, I'm a deer hunter.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't have missed that shot. I would not have missed.
So you think that they put Donald Trump up there and they said to him in advance, now we're going to take a pot shot at you. We're going to use this for purposes of promoting your candidacy. And the guy's really good. He won't hit you. He's going to nick your ear. That you think that happened?
No, I don't think that. Because, you know, what makes me mad is they blame it on the Democrats. Now, if I'm going to hire me a shooter, I'm not going to hire that one.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate you calling in. Maybe a cup of coffee would be in order there. James, out in Nashville. What's on your mind today, James?
Hello. Am I on?
You are on.
I had a question about one of the Justins.
Okay.
I've been a resident of East Nashville for, 26 years. And one of the three, who are the Justins that were downtown? Was it Justin Jones or?
Yeah, Justin Jones was one of them. I can't remember.
Okay, well, his thing is over in Hendersonville.
Mm.
And my understanding is his thing stops at the water.
Yeah, so what's the question?
So how did he get a little finger piece of East Nashville in his jurisdiction?
No, I don't know. This is all done by the council, which is very political, and I suppose that somehow there was some gerrymandering that went on, and in that way, that's the only thing I can figure out. I don't really have a good answer.
He doesn't have this whole section. He just has this one little piece.
Yeah, well, a lot of times they're very creative in the way they draw districts, for sure.
Okay, I just thought I'd ask.
All right, that's the best answer I can give you right off the top. All right, do we want to go back to Scott? Scott is an IT professional, and he wants to weigh in on that. Scott, you get the last word here in the first round of Phone Your Farb Friday.
Well, thank you, sir. I want to tell you I'm also a longtime fan. The update that went out was not necessarily a software update. This is a security software. And what they do is anytime they find a new
threat,
intrusion, a threat, they update the software to be able to detect that threat. And that's the updates that go out. It's not like your Pro Tools. I understand. I use tools like your Pro Tools that are ages old too, on a personal level.
Yeah.
This is security software. This is software that is monitoring monitoring the terminals, the computers, the servers, and everything.
Yeah, and I get that the threats are constantly changing, and they have to evolve the software in order to meet the new threats that keep getting written. They write software, and then the bad guys out there find ways to work around it, and you've got to keep rewriting it and keep rewriting it. But I mean, the first thing about an update, I would say that IT professionals should follow what the medical profession is supposed to follow. The cardinal rule is first, do no harm.
Exactly.
They definitely did some harm today. All right, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. We'll do another round here in about an hour. It is now 51 past the hour. Let me tell you about the folks at King & Associates Insurance in Brentwood who've been around for some 25 years as an independent agency, a small agency, and you really, I'm telling you, that's what you want. Because you know what? They're not like the big box stores where you take one product off the shelf and that's what you get. Take it or leave it, right? No, they're not like that at all. In fact, they can shop around and find for you that insurance policy that gives you the most bang for your buck. And that's what you want. You don't want to pay a lot for insurance, but you still want good coverage. They can find that magic combination that will fit your need to a T. If you call this number, 615-329-8121, you don't reach a call center, you don't get a recording, you don't hear somebody say, please stand by, your call is important to us, when we know it's not. No, you get an actual human being. And they will answer your questions or find somebody who can. They will be helpful. You won't be sitting around for hours waiting to get an answer. Multi-policy discounts 20, 25, 30, 35%. Huge savings are possible. So get your royal review today with King & Associates Insurance. Log on to tkinginsurance.com. King Insurance & Associates. Royal treatment. Great rates.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
All right, you going to grill out this weekend? I mean, a lot of people are going to be grilling out, and you can enjoy some of the same flavors you taste over at the Legend Steakhouse, right on your very own grill. Just take a walk down your local grocery store aisles, places like Walmart and Kroger, and look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. Johnny Fleeman's Marinade proprietary blend will give your steaks, chicken, or chops a flavor that will hit a home run with family and friends. It's low in sodium, about a third of other brands. You don't have to worry about over-marinating. You might want to check out his honey mustard salad dressing. It's a favorite over at the restaurant for the last 35 years. Use it as a salad dressing or a dipping sauce for your favorite chicken fingers, fresh cut veggies, or maybe chips. If your favorite grocer is not stocking Johnny Fleeman products, ask them to do so. For more information, go to johnnyfleeman.com. And of course, it goes without saying, for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at your nearest Legend Steakhouse for lunch or for dinner.
It's 5 o'clock. I'm John Michael with your top stories. It is mostly cloudy and 83 degrees. A full forecast and the latest traffic report are upcoming. While President Biden faces growing pressure to withdraw from the 2024 race, some groups tied to Capitol Hill are coming out to support the president's campaign. Em Nguyen has more from Washington.
Some groups are echoing the more than 30 congressional Democrats who have called on President Biden to step aside. Dozens of activists from Climate Defiance gathered outside the DNC headquarters in Washington, saying they're there, quote, because beating Trump is existentially important for our climate and our democracy, adding, we can beat Trump, but we need a new candidate to do so. Still, there appears to be support for Biden, including with the Congressional Hispanic Caucus's political arm called Bold PAC, which endorsed Biden today, saying he has delivered for the Latino community.
Biden says he's ready to hit the campaign trail again as soon as possible. The Democratic National Committee's Rules Committee meeting today, in part addressing a potential issue in Ohio. In April, Ohio's Secretary of State alerted Democrats that the state's ballot certification deadline would come after the party's convention in August, meaning Joe Biden would not be the official nominee by their cutoff. The Ohio legislature later rectified the issue, passing legislation extending their deadline to allow the qualification. But still, Democratic National Committee Chair Jamie Harrison today argued that the Ohio leaders are acting in bad faith and that Biden's qualification is not assured.
We will not let extremism in Ohio corrupt the democratic process. This election comes down to nothing less than saving our democracy from a man who has said that he wants to be a dictator on day one. So we certainly aren't going to tempt fate by inviting challenges to placing the Democratic ticket on the ballot throughout this country.
And also, we could be headed for an open convention for the Democrats, the first in decades. A man is facing charges for an alleged carjacking in an auto shop Thursday morning. Metro Police say it happened at Lucky's Custom Wheels and Tires on Lafayette Street. According to police, 27-year-old Cedric Taylor is accused of approaching a woman sitting in her car, punching her and demanding money. Authorities say the suspect then pulled the woman from the car. She ran into the business for help. Before Taylor could put the car in drive, the owner of the business ran to the car, broke the driver's side window with the victim's permission, and forced Taylor out through the passenger side, according to police. The business owner and another witness detained Taylor until officers arrived on the scene. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It is 7 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on a Friday. Boy, it's really nice outside, 78 degrees. Man, that's pleasant. I hope you're having a good plan for the evening as you return from a hard work at week, the last day of the week, and head into the weekend. I hope you have some time with family and that you have a great weekend planned. Before we let you go into that, though, let's keep you up to date on what's going on. The big question that is burbling today, burbling like a burbling brook. Everybody wants to know, is Biden in or is he out? There was some indication. I mean, there are a couple of signs today that got people sort of revved up that maybe he was about to announce that he was out. One of them was an all-hands call to people who work for the campaign. And apparently we haven't gotten a readout from what was happening on that call. But we do know that there was another call scheduled, this one with Vice President Kamala Harris talking to major donors. Now, the 1-2 combination made think, well, are they telling people that he's coming out? Is this where we learn? Is he going to leak out of that? Well, I have a readout now from that call with Vice President Harris to major donors, and it looks like, I can't believe it, but it looks like Biden is staying in. Vice President Harris says on call with major donors that she and Biden are running together to beat Trump. Vice President Kamala Harris, according to Fox News, on a last-minute call with major Democrat donors Friday, said that she and President Joe Biden are running together and are convinced they're going to beat Donald Trump. Harris addressed donors as a torrent of Democrat lawmakers have publicly called for Biden to step aside, convinced that he cannot beat former President Trump in November. I will start by sharing something with all of you, something I believe in my heart of hearts. It's something I feel strongly you should all hear and you should take with you when you leave, and tell your friends too. We are going to win this election. We are going to win. We know which candidate in this election puts American people first, our President Joe Biden, she added. With every decision he makes in the Oval Office, he thinks about how it will impact working Americans, and I witness it every day. She went on to say that Trump's convention this week was one big attempt to distract people. He wants to distract attention away from his record and his Project 2025 plan. Again, with that. Can you believe they put it in writing? It is further empirical evidence that the stakes of this election couldn't be higher. CNBC reports that Biden ally Reid Hoffman and top fundraiser Jeff Katzenberg were also on the call, trying to encourage donors to not hold back on money so they have a better chance of helping the Biden-Harris ticket. How about that? I don't know. California Dim says that some within the party are seeing a little slippage from Biden. Do you think? And unfortunately, I think what you folks are starting to see, which is why you're now seeing folks come out and say, we've got to get the president to reconsider, says Ami Bera, who is a Democrat from California. By the way, Californian Democrats do not come out and say such things without the blessing of Nancy Pelosi. Just saying that. Said that you should get the president to reconsider. I think part of the reason why you're seeing a lot of Democrats starting to come out is that they're getting their own internal polls coming back either at the Senate level or some of the battleground House races, and it doesn't look that great. Some Democrats have floated the idea that Vice President Kamala Harris run against the former president should Biden step aside. Okay. I think she's ready to do the job. I think she's a tenacious campaigner, says Ami Berry. All right, so there you have it. I mean, officially on the record, they're putting out the word that we're not going anywhere. We're going to be right here. Wolf Blitzer tried to get at this with Senator Chris Coons, who is the campaign chair, and Wolfie didn't. He asked the same question 3 times, but didn't really get an answer.
Has he 100% ruled out the possibility of leaving the race during the course of all of your conversations with him?
In my conversations with the president, he's been asking for input. He's been asking from all of us who talk to him regularly for advice, for counsel, for input on the polls, on the opinion of our colleagues. But he has communicated to every Democrat in writing that he intends to continue this campaign.
So no answer there. So you ask it again.
Is he even considering it, leaving?
Look, I think he weighs very seriously the input of those he trusts and admires, those who've served with him. And beyond that, I'm not going to get into the details, Wolf. I think he deserves the respect of being able to reflect on this moment.
One final question. Is he even considering leaving the race?
Wolf, I haven't spoken to him in the last few days. I shouldn't speak to that without direct knowledge.
From CNBC, Democrat mega donors push Biden to quit race as Kamala Harris events start to fill up. People are starting to get the sense that she's going to be the nominee, and so they're starting to show up at her rallies, which have been sparsely attended in the past. 6 more Democrats joined the chorus calling on Biden to exit. The list includes Martin Heinrich, who becomes the 3rd Democrat senator urging the president to end his campaign. Here we go. 5 House Democrats, Representative Jared Huffman of California, Sean Casten of Illinois, Mark Vesey of Texas, Chuy Garcia of Illinois, and Mark Pocan of Wisconsin, and 1 Senate Democrat, Martin Heinrich of New Mexico, joined. Now, New Mexico, that's about as blue a state as you're going to find. But he's apparently concerned, joined more than 20 other lawmakers from Biden's party who had already urged the president to remove himself from the top of the ticket. While the decision to withdraw from the campaign is President Biden's alone, I believe it's in the best interest of our country for him to step aside, Heinrich said in a statement today. Heinrich is chairman of Congress's Joint Economic Committee and the 3rd Senate Democrat to call for Biden to withdraw. So what you have now is you have Nancy Pelosi directly telling him, you're not getting good data if you believe you can win this thing. And apparently even calling somebody else on the phone call to point out what the numbers show. Biden doesn't want to hear it. Then you have Hakeem Jeffries telling Biden, look, I just want to tell you where House Democrats are. They want you to step aside. You got Chuck Schumer telling him where Senate Democrats are. I just want to tell you, Mr. President, where Senate Democrats are, they want you to step aside. And Biden just doesn't want to hear it, apparently. Again, he has the votes. He's already, gotten, clinched the nomination. He has enough votes if they stay loyal to him. The question is, will they stay loyal to them? Part of the problem is Democrats are freaking out because they've just seen a nearly flawless Republican convention. Van Jones noted it.
The last time I was in a convention that felt like this was Obama 2008.
Yeah, I mean, they even Van Jones can feel it. And over at CNN, I take it for what it's worth, John King goes to the Electoral College Board and starts working the numbers, and he says, and he keeps saying that, Biden is deep, deep, deep in the ditch.
This is President Biden's problem. This is what the Democrats have to figure out what to do in a month, assuming Joe Biden is still the candidate, because Donald Trump did not need to gain voters at this convention. He came into it already with a lead, and a bigger lead than even our projection shows. Our projection now says deep red, solid Republican. Light red, leaning Republican. If Donald Trump won nothing else but what we have shaded red on this map, he would be the next president of the United States. And while we have been here in Milwaukee, we have seen poll after poll after poll showing President Biden's ditch is even deeper, meaning Donald Trump is leading right here in Pennsylvania, in some polls by 5 points or more. He is leading here in Michigan. Sorry, I'll keep that one red. And he is leading where we are in Wisconsin. That's the blue wall. Donald Trump won those in 2016. He was president. Joe Biden flipped him back, and he was president. Joe Biden also flipped Georgia. Donald Trump is leading there. Joe Biden also flipped Arizona. Donald Trump is leading there. Joe Biden won Nevada, and Donald Trump is leading there. And Donald Trump, this is Nebraska and Maine, do electoral college votes by congressional district. You see this one yellow as a toss-up. Biden won it in 2020. At the moment, Donald Trump is getting all of the electoral votes out of Nebraska. And why many Democrats have been saying, we're not going to give you any more money, Mr. President. We want you to get out of the race, Mr. President, is at the moment there's also polling showing that Trump is at least competitive, if not a little ahead in Virginia, competitive, if not a little ahead in New Hampshire. Democrats are worried about Minnesota. Some are worried about Colorado. Some even say a blue state like New Mexico. Look where Donald Trump is there. I'm not saying Donald Trump's going to win 330 electoral votes, but he came into this convention at least over the 270 threshold. And the polling during this convention have shown the president's ditch has gotten even deeper. Why? He's losing in all 7 of what we consider the swing states. More than 7 in 10 Americans say he's too old to be president. 2/3 of the Americans say the country's on the wrong track. So Donald Trump leaves here in the lead with money flowing into his campaign, and Democrats, Anderson, are still having a debate, even about whether Joe Biden should be their candidate. Now they got a month till there's convention. They have time to fix it, but Donald Trump leaves here what I would call a substantial and perhaps even commanding lead.
I'm reminded of that scene from the movie Airplane, which of course is the greatest comedy movie ever made, at least in my opinion. And Lloyd Bridges says, "So help me, he's going to drive it right into the ground." And you know, it's sort of what Biden seems to be doing. I don't want Biden to get out. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think I'd love to have him, but I just don't believe that at the end of the day that he's going to. I'm shocked, stunned, and amazed that he hasn't gotten the word yet. I don't know. It seems to me a fool's game to keep him in there as the nominee, but maybe they're just that foolish. And you know, it could mean that when the Democrat convention comes along, I mean, these are supposed to be delegates that are sworn to Joe Biden, but they also have a brain. And they may also look at it and say, well, that was back then. Now I don't feel the same way. So, you know, it could turn into an open convention. And I'm shocked, stunned, and amazed that they're still out there. Now, there are other reports out there that the family is considering, you know, running the games, running all the scenarios, and considering what would it mean if he pulled out as the nominee now. I don't know. It seems like to me this is being driven by Jill and Hunter, and that nobody is really able to convince this president. You know what it really reminds me of? This is the perfect analogy. If you're a certain a person of a certain age, you may have had to have the conversation with your parents or your grandparents about taking away the car keys, right? And you go to the parent or grandparent, and you say, "Look, I did this with my mom. You know, Mom, I don't want to be this guy, but we got to have a conversation about whether you should continue to drive." Now, my mom was pretty cool about it, but often the reaction is, "No, I'm just fine." And they get angry. You know why? Because, well, you're telling them something they don't want to hear. And they're old and they're cranky anyway, and they'll just say, let's bark at you. No, you don't know what you're talking about. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I can still drive, you know, and then next thing you know, there's been a bad accident. Somebody's trying to take the car keys away from Grandpa here, and Grandpa's not having any of it. That's what it feels like to me. And I think that's the perfect analogy. Look, I don't know what to tell you except that the drip, 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 you know, it continues, and nothing seems to have changed. It's just that the Biden family apparently doesn't want to hear it. And as of this hour, you figure if Kamala gets on and starts talking to donors and says we're still in, I think you have to take them at their word. They're still in, which is good for our side. But I just can't imagine the Democrats are going to allow that to stand. We'll see. We'll see. A lot of people think something could happen over the weekend. We're prepared if it does. 20 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. You know, gold is up 78% over the last 5 years. Have your other investments done as well as that? How about this? Silver up 99% in the same time period. Meanwhile, the U.S. dollar has lost 25% of its value since 2020. The government-induced inflation is stealing your wealth, and it doesn't seem that Washington has any plans to stop. Gold and other precious metals can be a great shield against that inflation. You know, listen, here's the deal. During an election year, the politicians will promise you that they'll rein in the spending, but they can't stop. They're addicted to it. This is why no matter who is in office, gold protects you from the D.C. spending sprees. Where do you go to get that protection? Well, reach out to my friends Kyle and Hannah at Nashville Gold and Coin. They will take great care of you, keep you well informed on all precious metals. Please act now and get your shield against out-of-control government spending. Go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com to set up your appointment today.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Populations of animals. I mean, think about the white-tailed deer and how when Ed started, and maybe even before Ed a little bit, they started, working to bring these populations back. And now we have these sustainable populations that we can hunt.
Yeah.
The story of the eastern wild turkey and what's happening with turkeys. So I would consider all these things great successes. The conservation efforts that have been worked on by the personnel for years, I would think that it's a great success story for our state.
You're going to see some footage from an old film that was produced here at the agency in the Game and Fish days, and which shows some things like, the wife taking care of the animal that the officer, the husband, had to bring home to take care of, because they got a call, and times have changed. Now we have the rehabilitators that help out with that kind of thing. And
thank goodness. I got to be really good friends with some of those little animals. And got my first commission in 1972.
Okay, yeah.
At that time, it was a little different. The whole law enforcement world was different then. So anyway, I got my first commission in 1972 and worked all over the state. It was really great to be able to do that. Pretty much, you had one uniform. I noticed in the movie too, everybody wearing ties. For years and years, you had to, if you wore a long sleeve shirt, you had to wear a tie. It didn't matter if you were doing enforcement or sailing a pond or whatever you were doing, you had that tie on.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And then everybody looked forward. There was one date, and it kind of moved. It was generally around April the 1st. You switched from long sleeves to short sleeves, and you didn't have to wear a tie. And everybody's going, come on, April 1st.
All right, 5:25 now on Super Talk 99.7. Let me just get this in real quick. This is just crossed. Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio, a Democrat, now becomes the fourth Democrat in the chamber to ask Biden to drop out of the race. He says, over the last few weeks, I've heard from Ohioans, and I'm in agreement that it's time for the president to step aside and to end his campaign. Now, that follows one Thursday from Senator John Tester of Montana and Senator Martin Heinrich of Democrat from New Mexico and Peter Welch of Democrat from Vermont, who have all said on the record, it's time for you to step aside. So, again, the drum beats continue, and we'll see how long they can stand up to it. But, I just have a feeling that it's going to reach critical mass about Saturday or Sunday. Who knows? Who knows? Again, I've seen things happen in Washington where Everybody seems to know that a certain person is a dead man walking, and except for the person who's the dead man walking. They don't seem to know. This happens with Senate nominees and Senate confirmed nominations and Supreme Court justices and who seem to get in trouble, and everybody thinks it's not going to go anywhere. And it always seems like, the person who is at the center of the thing is the last one to understand what has happened. So anyway, we'll see what happens here. We'll continue to watch on it. I have a feeling that if something happens to the weekend and this thing comes to fruition, this thing starts to become a big deal. And if you start to hear that, just tune in to Super Talk 99.7. I'm pretty sure me and the boys will be crashing the boards to talk about that. So we'll be watching it too, just with you. Now, I just want to take a moment here to say that coming up after the news here in just a few moments with John Michael, we're going to have our second round of Phone Your Farb Friday. Now, this is we don't like to consider it a competition, but we do compare and contrast the 4 o'clock people from the 5 o'clock people. I don't know, Chris, how did you feel about the 4 o'clock group?
I thought they were fairly strong.
Yeah, except for one guy who needed a cup of coffee. That's right.
Or something. A little less of something, probably.
Yeah, maybe. I think they were pretty strong. So, we're expecting you to bring your A game here. We really want you to come in with your best question, your best stuff. Maybe you've got something you want to talk about with regard to the assassination attempt. A lot of people have questions about that. Maybe you have some insight into what happened at the convention. Maybe you have something you want to talk about with regard to where the campaign stands. Anything. It doesn't really matter what it is you want to talk about. We'll be happy to have you weigh in, as long as you keep it fairly clean, because it is a family show. So that'll come up here in just a few moments. And again, we don't like to consider it a competition, and so please no wagering. But we do look at it and we say, well, sometimes the 4 o'clock hour is strong, sometimes the 5 o'clock hour is strong, and so if you're listening now, you have a chance to be a part of the 5 o'clock hour. You have a chance to be, the people who put the 5 o'clock Phone Your Farb Friday over the goal line. Do you want to be part? I'm throwing down the challenge here for you. Throwing down the gauntlet, as you will. It's been a hell of a news cycle this week. I mean, oh my gosh. There's so much to talk about. So, we really haven't, because of things that have been, going on, we haven't had time to open up the phones that much and hear from you. It's been impossible to try to get it all squeezed in. So it's time to blow off a little steam. If you got something to say, 615-737-9986. We'll come to you in just a short while. Right now, time for the news at 5:30. Let's talk about Grace Point Healthcare, where the medicine that they provide is delivered the old-fashioned way, and they are affordable. That's good. They are comprehensive in their approach. That's what you want. And this is a big one. They're convenient. I mean, how many times have you called and said, I need to see my doc, and they go, well, we'll get you worked in a couple of weeks. Maybe you don't want to wait. Maybe you don't feel like you can wait for a couple of weeks. But, I mean, at Grace Point, they'll get you in the same day or, in some cases, the next day. That's what you want. If you're starting to think about back to school and sports physicals, Grace Point provides complete physicals for kids of all ages. International vacation, maybe you're going on a mission trip. Grace Point offers complete travel immunizations and is CDC certified for yellow fever and all international immunization protocols. And because they see you the same or next day, you don't have to wait days or weeks to see a doctor. It's modern medicine at your convenience. Listen, they're on Main Street in Franklin. Here's the number, 615-599-6868 to set up your appointment.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Real quick, before we move to Phone Your Farb Friday, more about this phone call that Kamala Harris had with donors, people who provide the money for their campaigns. Apparently, at the end of it, she had told them, look, we're not going anywhere. We need you to keep sending us money. She did not take questions, according to the attendee, and some donors were furious. Some expected the call to be about replacing Biden, and they did not want to be lectured. As the call was wrapping up, writes ABC News, one furious donor started going on a rant, and they hung up on the call. So we have the Secret Service director hanging up on senators this week, and now Kamala Harris hanging up on donors because they didn't want anybody to say what this person apparently wanted to say. Time for Phone Your Farb Friday. 615-737-9986. You know, I have a lot of patter that I do that allows us to get the phone calls ready, but you know what? I already have a full board. All 5 of our lines are open. As these calls clear off, we'll have room for more calls at 615-737-9986. Shane in Hartsville. Shane, you're on with Brian on the drive. What's on your mind today, Shane?
Hey, Mr. Wilson. Glad to have you get me on here. I just wanted to ask a question. Watching Fox News last night, they had like a guest host on there.
Yep.
And he said something about the shooter having 3 overseas accounts. They didn't say if it was bank accounts or social media accounts. I don't know, but I haven't heard anything else about it today.
To be honest with you, he was vague about that, and I, you know, they never did get an answer out of him, and they didn't ask the question in a way to get the answer. Quite frankly, I was very frustrated. I saw the same thing you saw. The shooter had overseas accounts. Now, is that financial accounts? Are those social media accounts? Are those accounts, you know, for communicating? You know, like WhatsApp or something like that. I don't know. But apparently that whatever these accounts are, they are encrypted. But, you know, that certainly raises questions given the fact that there is something of a fatwa against Donald Trump, you know, that has been ordered by the Iranian leaders, the religious leaders. I wish I had a better answer for you, but I was just as frustrated as you are, and I've been looking for the answer to that today. I didn't get any answer. So, again, I don't know. Something about foreign accounts. You're right. Rita in Springfield. Hello, Rita. You're on with Brian on the drive.
Hello there. I noticed all of Trump's family was there, but where was Barron?
You know, that's a great question. He got mentioned by the president, former president, during his speech last night, and said, you know,
what did he say?
He said something along the lines of, well, and he said, thank you to my children, my grandchildren, and he mentioned all of his children. He said, and Barron. Apparently, Barron has a very deep voice. That's what I've been told. But I don't know. You know, Barron is shielded a lot from the political world, I think, by his mom. And for reasons that, you know, I've heard stories, but I don't know if they're accurate or not. But that he, you know, I did not hear this story, but someone who I asked about it said, I heard that he was really upset about the assassination attempt and was still dealing with some of that. So I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
But they are very protective of Barron. You're correct. Steve in Cookeville. Hello, Steve. You're on with Brian on the drive.
Hey, Brian, you know, conspiracy theories are all over the place out there about this assassination attempt.
I know.
I'm looking for somebody to call in and tell us that the whole thing took place out at Area 51 in Nevada.
I know. I mean, it's crazy how many conspiracy theories. And you know where a lot of them are coming from? I mean, the Democrats have their own conspiracy theories about this. You know, when we used to talk and joke about QAnon, they now call, you know, it's these people on the Democrat side of the equations who are saying the whole shooting was a staged event. Well, they call them Blue Anon. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there, folks. Don't, you know, look, most of the time when, you know, I can go back to, for example, the last time we started having a bunch of conspiracy theories was when that ship ran into the bridge in Baltimore. And when the full passage of time, when you get the entire story, there's a pretty obvious answer. In the case of the ship had failures, power failures. And it looked different on the video because the video was sped up because, you know, the ship was moving that slow. So it was power failures that caused the ship. And now that's an undisputed answer as they continue to investigate it. In the fullness of time, we'll get answers. But I think the answers are going to be just human error. You know, we seem to think that these agencies are perfect and that the government sometimes, you know, has the best and brightest. They don't. They have human beings like you and me. I make mistakes, you make mistakes, they make mistakes. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, you're going to see a cascading group of failures. And maybe part of it is that they were stretched too thin and they didn't have what they needed to make that a safe event. One way or the other, it's inexcusable, but I think we're probably going to get some answers like that. Brad in Auburntown. You're up with Brian on the drive. What's your question, Brad?
How are you, sir?
I'm fine.
Here's my question. All right, so if Joe Biden basically backs out because he's not competent to basically win the presidency, at what point in time do we say enough is enough? Because he ain't running the country, that's for sure. And somebody needs to come, and impeach him. Now, if they impeach him, Kamala will take over presidency, and then Speaker of the House will become vice president? Is that correct?
No, that's not exactly right. Kamala Harris would become the acting president it depends on how it all goes down. But she would be essentially if he stepped aside as president. Now, listen, he's not talking about stepping aside as president. Nobody believes that is on his mind. There's a difference between stepping aside from the presidency and stepping aside as the party's nominee. Just let's make sure we all understand that. But, there's a whole bunch of different, if it was the 25th Amendment, it's a whole different scenario. But when we talk about him stepping aside, we're not really talking about him stepping aside as president. I mean, I think he should. You and I both believe that. But I don't get the sense that that's in the offing, at least not yet. The question is about the re-election campaign. Ray, out on the road. Hey, Ray, you're on with Brian on the drive. What do you say?
Hey, Brian, how are you today?
I'm well.
Excellent. Hey, I was actually after the assassination attempt, I talked to a friend of mine. He was a Secret Service agent. He wasn't on the site down there, but he is a Secret Service agent. I asked him if he felt that there was anything that was missed or they did something wrong. They must be training him or something to deny it. He said no, and he sent me an article that put it kind of on local police.
Yeah, I don't buy that at all. In fact, if it hadn't been for local police, I think Donald Trump would be dead today. I really do believe that. I think those officers from the Butler Township ran over and distracted that guy, rattled his cage. He hurried the shot. He was full of adrenaline, and he missed. I think you can make a very good case that those Butler police officers were the ones who may have, saved the life of Donald Trump. We'll never know for sure. But no, it's not local police, and that's BS. And I just have to say, I don't know about your friend. Maybe he's just, getting the company line and passing it on. But I don't buy that at all. I think it's the Secret Service responsibility. I think they were thinned because there were a lot of events going on. I think that the agency has gone through some difficult times. I think the agency, the Secret Service, is not the institution that I once knew. And I think that it is under poor leadership. And I think all of those things are ultimately going to be part of the explanation. We'll see. Russell, out on the road. Hey, Russell, what's up with you, buddy? You're up next on the drive.
Hey, Brian, love the show.
Thank you.
My question is last night during our president's speech, which was great, by the way, mentioned that we have fixed the problems with the voting, that they're not going to be able to cheat this time. So my question to you is, have we got it fixed? Do you believe we got it fixed?
I do believe we've made major improvements. I do. I follow that pretty closely because I know a lot of people out there don't have trust in the system. And I will tell you that, I try to bring, every time I see one of these stories, I try to bring them to you. There's one in the news today where in the state of Arizona, they have come up with a law that says you have to prove your citizenship. And it's under challenge, but right now, as it stands, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals allowed it to stay in place while it's adjudicated. And that has happened in other places as well. So, I know that there have been some state legislatures, which are under Republican control, have sort of clawed back some of that COVID nonsense and the rule changes that came with COVID. Some of that has been pulled back. And I just think, you're always trying to address the problems of the last election. There probably will be new problems that crop up that we can't even foresee. But I do think that there have been some work in that direction. And I think that we're doing things differently in that we're now saying, listen, vote early. early voting, absentee voting, bundling voting when it's allowed under the law. We got to participate in that, and they are definitely changing their tune about that in the Republican Party. So I do think that voter integrity situation is better. Is it perfect? No. But really, where you got to watch it, I mean, red states are going to be red and blue states are going to be blue. You got to watch it, not in places like Tennessee where, we know what the outcome's going to be here. We're pretty sure that it's going to be a pretty reliably red response in Tennessee. You got to watch it in your battleground states. And I do believe that some changes have been made that will make it harder to cheat, not impossible. Bo out in Portland. Hello, Bo. You're on with Brian on The Drive.
Good evening, sir. I got to disagree with you on the best comedy of all time. I love the analogy of Joe Biden flying that plane straight into the ground, sir.
Yeah.
But I gotta
like on the movie
disagree.
Airplane, I said Lloyd Bridges, great scene.
Absolutely. But I think Blazing Saddles has got it beat because look at President Trump. He's just like Cleavon Little in the quicksand, and he's got his foot on the rail, and daggum old Slim Pickens is like, holy cow, we almost lost a $400 hand cart. I think President Trump is climbing that rail, just getting out of there after everything they have done to him.
When you start quoting scenes from Blazing Saddles, I have to be very careful. I saw Chris reach and put his finger over the red button because some of that stuff
absolutely.
we can't say on the radio today. But I love Blazing Saddles.
We've got to protect our phony baloney job, gentlemen. We must do something about this immediately.
It's 50. It's 50 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. Hey, listen, you're buying a diamond. You got to be careful. It's dangerous to do so if you're not properly educated. If you're not careful, you can overpay and overpay big time. Small variations in a diamond's quality specs can make a huge difference in its value. That's why I always recommend Genesis Diamonds. Genesis Diamonds education is second to none. They will teach you the secrets of the industry. They will explain to you how diamonds are priced on the world market. Their non-commission experts will make you a savvy buyer, even if you decide to shop somewhere else. These days, this is so important. Especially if you're considering buying a lab-grown diamond. Let Genesis reveal the truth behind this recent trend and show you all the info on how lab-grown diamonds are being overpriced in so many places. Bottom line, Genesis is your source for the best information as well as the best value for both natural and lab-grown diamonds. Now, whether you're buying a diamond for the first time or upgrading to a large, rare, investment-grade diamond, Genesis will make sure that you do not make a mistake. Genesis Diamonds, where the focus is always on honesty, transparency, education, quality, and value. Don't buy a diamond until you learn the ins and outs from Genesis. 2 locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Good evening, everyone. 6 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock, hour number 4 of this drive on Friday, the July 19th. A very pleasant evening. It's 80 degrees in Nashville right now. Not a lot of humidity today. That was good. So listen, we're hoping that you're headed home safely. Everything's going well. If you're still in the car headed that way, we're going to try to get you some news and information you can use. I'll try to make sense of the world around you. And it's been a challenge this week because there are a lot of things that are happening in the world. Well, they don't make any sense. But we're going to try anyway. We won't give up. That's our mission here. One quick thing before we go any further. I did not realize this is the 55th anniversary of the moon landing.
Wow, I didn't either.
55 years ago, Neil Armstrong stepped out off of that pad, the lunar lander, the LEM, and said, this is one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. It's been controversial if that's exactly what he said, but he said there was one small leap for a man, which makes more sense. But he said the A didn't come across on the radio. I don't know, one way or the other. That's what he said. And it followed down a few minutes later by Buzz Aldrin as Michael Collins circled above in the Apollo capsule, which, they needed to be there so they could get him back home. Can you imagine? I've always thought it's interesting to be the first guy to step on the moon and then to be the second guy to step on the moon. But talk about the most isolated human being in the world is the guy in the capsule. He's by himself, as far away from the Earth as any human being had ever been.
That's a good point. Yeah,
I don't know that I could handle that. That'd be the spooky part. One way or the other.
I don't know. It would have been pretty rough. It'd been pretty scary to be that guy to open that door to that thing and step out onto the moon and not knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and
that'd be pretty rough.
And the lander, he took control of it. Armstrong did in the last few moments because the lander on its automated landing, he saw where it was going to go in and it was going to hit some boulders and some craters, and so he took control of it in the last few moments, and they darn near ran out of fuel. While he was, but he got it down just in time. I think he had something like 15, 20 seconds worth of fuel left.
Wow.
Before he put it down.
Amazing.
So, amazing work by that day. 55 years ago. By the way, on this day, we are celebrating the 55th anniversary of the moon landing. A full moon tonight.
Oh, there you go.
The buck moon.
Go out and, just stare at the moon for a little while.
That's right. Howl at the
See
moon.
if you can see that flag.
I know. Are you one of those who don't believe?
Oh, no, I definitely think it happened.
I believe. I am. Yeah. I mean, they've actually flown satellites over and taken pictures. You can actually see, the bottom half of the lander stayed on the moon. So it's sort of an easy thing to spot if you're orbiting the moon. Mm-hmm. I've never have been one of those. Let's see. What else did I want to talk to you about? Oh, yeah. Very quickly on is Biden in or is Biden out? There's some new information about that. There was a conference call with Kamala Harris, and she was speaking to donors, and she was everybody sort of thought, all the donors apparently thought, well, here it comes. They're going to tell us he's bowing out. And then instead, she didn't do that. She simply said, we're going to do it. We're going to stay. We can win this thing. Don't you dare give up on us. We need you to support us. Keep sending your money. And then at the end of the call, they didn't ask for any questions, but one of the donors apparently was furious, thinking that, well, we thought we were going to be told that it was all over, and now what I'm hearing from you that it's not over, and started to rant, and they just hung up on him. They hung up on all the donors, sort of like the director of the Secret Service hung up on 100 senators this week. I guess, in the Biden administration, the procedure is just hang up on people if they have questions. Unbelievable. As far as I can tell, it looks to me as if he's still stubbornly clinging on to the office. I just believe at some point it reaches critical mass. I mean, every hour. This is that story, drip, 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 And soon enough, you get enough drips, it turns into a flood, and things reach critical mass, and then it becomes untenable for you to go forward. But as of the moment, it appears they're going forward, and Joe's going to continue to try to become the nominee. But he is losing support by the moment, and it just doesn't seem like that's a supportable position. I think, I wonder how much of this, have you ever been in a situation, I've had this situation before in a lot of different scenarios, where you have a disagreement with somebody, right? And then you go in and you have a conversation, and you work it out, and you sort of convince the person that, you have the right position and they have the wrong position, and then you think, okay, well, that's settled. And then, the person's, yeah, I guess you're right. Okay, that's, that maybe, and then you think it's all done, and then you go back later and you find out that person, I don't know, somebody got a hold of them, got them all revved up again, and told him, no, you were right and he was wrong, and yeah, you're right, I was right. And then, and I think that's what's happening. I think people get him right to the edge where he sort of gets the idea that he needs to make that decision, and then Jill steps in and gets him all revved up again. I mean, I really believe that's true. I think this man is a pawn right now. I think it really comes down to elder abuse. I really do. I think that Jill likes her living in the White House. I think she loves the glamour of it all, and I think Hunter loves the fact that Daddy-O, was the president of the United States, and that and probably doesn't want to lose his Secret Service protection. I don't know what all is going on, but I mean, I think the family comes back in when he's right on the verge of saying, "Yeah, I guess that's what I need to do," and then the family comes in and talks him out of it. I mean, I really feel that's the case. Kamala, if Kamala were smart, she'd just stay quiet because, it's coming her way. But she's at least expressing loyalty at the moment. How much loyalty is there? I don't know. I just think it's probably not going to last through the weekend, but I could be wrong. And, Rick, look, you want to put Joe Biden up against Donald Trump? Bring me all that you can bring me. I'm happy with that. I just can't believe the Democrats are that stupid. And I don't think they are. So we'll see what happens there. So that's going on as well. I can't believe just hung up on them. I'm sorry. Click. That's not the way it should be done. So anyway, now let's talk a little bit about what's happening with this investigation into the attempted assassination. Not a great deal of tremendous movement here. Be careful about the stuff that's floating around. There's a lot of BS. I mean, an unbelievable amount of that is floating around about this story. I mean, that doesn't make any sense at all. But you know what? It's funny. This time around, it's some of the Democrats are saying, we don't believe that this was real. We think this was a staged event. Yeah, you killed a guy for a staged event? Seriously injured 2 other people? I mean, I don't know what they're trying to say. It seems to me it's the most insane thing to suggest that somehow this was all for show, right? Okay? So you tell Donald Trump, so this is all an inside job, right? And you tell Donald Trump, now you go out there on the stage, and we've got this sharpshooter, and he's really, really good, and he's going to take about, 8 shots at you, but don't worry, he's only going to nick your ear. Nobody would. I mean, that's insane. That's ludicrous. And, and then that people died here. How can you deny the events of the day? Well, we don't know. We haven't seen his ear. We want to see his ear. I don't think we want to see his ear. I think it's pretty ugly right now. And I can understand why somebody would not want to go out and give a major speech with a bloody, scabbed over ear. I mean, I got a scab, I got a Band-Aid on it because I don't think people want to look at it. I can imagine, having it being my ear, a part of my face. By the way, did you hear what was it that Mark Zuckerberg said about this? Yeah, I know we don't care much about Mark Zuckerberg, but he's talking and doing an interview, and they were asking him about politics and I guess Facebook and all that. And he said, we did some things. We were active last election season. We're not going to be active this time. No Zuckerbucks are going to be out there. But he did say this.
I've done some stuff personally in the past. I'm not planning on doing that this time. And that includes, not endorsing either of the candidates. Now, look, there's obviously a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. The historic events over over the weekend. And, on a personal note, it's, seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life. but look, it's, and I think, look, it's, at some level as an American, it's like hard to not get kind of emotional about that spirit and that fight. And I think that's why a lot of people like the guy.
Yeah, well, I thought that was interesting. Listen, the Secret Service was warned about Thomas Crooks as a threat 10 minutes before Trump took the stage, but let the ex-president go on anyway. Now, that is hard to explain. So, what was going on here? One of the stories that you're beginning to hear is there may not have been as many secrets. I've got that story right here. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. This is from the Washington Examiner. Good reporting. Whistleblowers have told the House Judiciary Committee that Secret Service resources were stretched thin last week ahead of the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, where the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump occurred because the agency was also protecting the NATO summit, the committee said in a letter to the FBI on Thursday. Committee Chairman Jim Jordan wrote that he had learned from the unnamed whistleblowers that the FBI was present during two briefings on July 8th when the rally was discussed. Secret Service, a special agent in charge, Tim Burke, told law enforcement personnel during the briefings that the Secret Service had limited resources that week because it was also covering the NATO gathering in Washington, D.C. Jordan acknowledged that the FBI was not the sole law enforcement entity responsible for the rally security, but added it is the lead federal investigative arm and a key source of intelligence on potential threats for special events in its area of responsibility. The FBI Pittsburgh field office is leading the investigation into the rally where a gunman opened fire, and as you know, the rest of all that. The incident marks the first assassination attempt against a former president or former president in 4 decades. The agency was made aware of Crooks 20 minutes before he fired shots at Trump. Pennsylvania State Police alerted the Secret Service about Crooks, identifying him as a suspicious person with a rangefinder, which is a firearm accessory used for taking long shots or estimating how long it is for you, which club you need to use for your chip shot onto the green. Jordan also said he had questions about the FBI's ability to carry out the investigation. So it may, in fact, in some of this reporting that I've seen, it sounds as if that it was not, mostly it wasn't Secret Service. Here's this story. Whistleblowers are coming out of the woods. Look, Secret Service rank and file agents are, can I use this word, pissed about what happened. And they are reaching out to these investigatory committees on Capitol Hill and telling them what they know. So we're going to get to the bottom of this, I'm pretty sure. Majority of Trump's security detail were not Secret Service. Whistleblowers tell Senator Josh Hawley. Whistleblowers inside the Department of Homeland Security have alleged that the majority of the security detail for former President Donald Trump was not even Secret Service, according to a Republican lawmaker. Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri relayed these claims in a public letter to Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas on Friday, outlining a series of security failures at Trump's fateful Butler, Pennsylvania rally. Whistleblowers who have direct knowledge of the event have approached my office. According to the allegations, the July 13th rally was considered to be a, quote, loose security event. For example, detection canines were not used to monitor entry and detect threats in the usual manner. Individuals without proper designations were able to gain access to the backstage areas. Other lapses in security protocol allegedly included a lack of personnel stationed around the security perimeter and an inadequately enforced buffer zone around the podium. Among the most troubling claim is that the majority of personnel protecting the former president were not Secret Service agents. Wow. They were other people, Homeland Security folks. That's really troubling. Truly, truly troubling. And again, I think what you're going to find in the grand scheme of things is that this agency is not the agency that we always thought that it was. It was at one time, but I think under the management of Kimberly Cheadle, it has become a different kind of agency, and it's simply not the same quality of agents in some cases that we had in the past. Largely, I think, because of DEI and other things. 22 past the hour. We have some exciting news for you. Many of you who have lived here a long time around here have known about Eurofix here in Middle Tennessee, and they know that European car, that's the place to go for your European car repair for some 24 years. We've all gotten to watch them grow. I don't know about you, but I love it when a hometown business takes off, and the folks at Eurofix are now proud to announce a 5th location for Eurofix. Where is it? It's in Mount Juliet, right across the street from the Dairy Queen on Mount Juliet Road. Now, Eurofix can serve you in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and Mount Juliet. Pretty cool getting to watch a small-town mechanic starting in a barn in the backyard of a single-wide trailer grow to 5 locations repairing thousands of cars each month. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. Call 844-EUROFIX or visit myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Continuing our conversation about the investigation into the assassination attempt. A lot of questions here. This is a really good compendium of the big questions that remain from the folks at the Hill. 4 revelations have come out so far. That there was almost an hour between the person of interest and the threat. One of the most explosive discoveries this week revealed that law enforcement had identified Crooks as a person of interest at the Butler, PA rally 62 minutes before the gunman fired several shots at Trump. They had identified him as someone who was acting strangely. A full hour. And that's number one. Number two, Trump was allowed to go on stage 10 minutes after the hunt for the shooter began. Lawmakers are frustrated in particular about why Trump was allowed on the rally stage after law enforcement became aware of a suspicious person in the area. And I'm telling you, that's a great question. Secret Service has not yet revealed its thinking and decision-making process as why the rally was allowed to proceed and go forward. Number three, no one was placed on the roof. This is the most amazing thing. And that local authorities had told the Secret Service, we don't have the resources to protect that building. So they knew. And they just decided to not cover it. Well, it's on the outside of the perimeter. This is the most boneheaded thing. I mean, look, as I've said before, and I'll say again, I have been in the course of my career to hundreds of events where the Secret Service was in charge of security. Hundreds. And you get used to knowing exactly what they're doing, and you watch them very carefully. I mean, you always keep an eye on the Secret Service because sometimes they give you a heads up as to what's happening, about presidential movements and that kind of stuff. So you're always keeping an eye on them. So I'm always watching them. And if there's any problem, you get to see these guys go from being in calm mode to being hurry up mode pretty quick. And so you always sort of keep an eye on them. And I can never recall an event where something like this would be left uncovered. It's like Secret Service 101. But maybe the answer, as we heard a minute ago, is maybe it wasn't really the Secret Service. That's unbelievable. And number four, the motive is yet to be pinned down. I mean, they're digging into this guy's accounts, and apparently now there's this weird interview that was done on Fox News with a member of Congress who said that part of the briefing they got the other day was that this guy had several overseas accounts. But they didn't really talk about what kind of account it was. Is it a financial account? Is it a bank account? Is it a social media platform account? Well, I mean, what is it? But he said they were highly encrypted, and that was going to be part of their investigation as well. But they don't have a motive. No real motive seems to have reared its ugly head as of now. And again, 1/3 of Democrats believe that this is a false conspiracy theory that Trump staged his own assassination attempt. They actually believe it was staged. 1/3 of Democrats. Whack jobs. 30 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. You know, the Restoration Wellness and Med Spa folks have been doing a great job with me as I try to lose some weight. Today, I went in for my weigh-in. You're not going to believe this. I'm down 25 pounds. It's been the easiest thing in the world. It's honestly been a breeze. I'm never hungry, and I'm just, every time I get on the scale, I'm losing weight. And I love it. I mean, it's great. So why don't you let the team at Restoration Wellness help you achieve your summer weight goals? They're the leader of weight loss management in Wilson County. Call the Restoration Wellness team today at 615-470-8124 or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation today. The folks over there are just the best. Carly and Jamie will take good care of you, treat you like you're one of their own. So be a part of the 1,000 patients who have already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program. Now, weight loss can increase your energy level, improve your quality of sleep, and enhance your overall health. These are customizable treatment plans, not one size fits all. Restoration Wellness considers your unique needs, your lifestyle, and your goals. Whether your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or to improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has a solution for you. Learn about the newest technology in weight loss management and start losing weight like I'm doing. RestorationWellnessMedSpa.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.38 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. We're with you for just a few more minutes before we call it a day and call it a week. And, man, I'm telling you what, I need a breather after this week. I mean, this has been a week where you had to keep your head on a swivel is what you have to do. I mean, you're constantly, you got, what's going on over here? What's going on over here? We have so many stories. Since Saturday, it's been chaos. Trying to keep up with all the things. Three major stories, of course, the RNC and how that went. We'll talk about that in a moment. And then, the follow-up to the assassination attempt on Saturday. And then the third story is about the Democrats and what they're going to do. And as it stands right now, I mean, it seems like the Democrats are I'm not sure the Democrats feel this way. Joe Biden feels this way. He's not ready to step down yet. That's the way it feels. It could change, because I'm telling you, the how do I want to put this? The thing is about to reach critical mass where it's going to be absolutely untenable for Joe Biden to continue to be the nominee. I mean, this thing is ratcheting up. At first, it's like you hear these, little leaks here and little leaks there. Then you've got something like 40 members of the Democrat caucus in the House and Senate who've now come on record saying he needs to step down. It's every hour. Sherrod Brown just added to the list a few moments ago. So, it seems like there are a lot of people calling for him to step down. And at some point, it becomes untenable to stay. It really does. And as for the investigation into the assassination attempt, there's a news story out from the Wall Street Journal, and I'm trying to get my hands on it, but I can't find it just yet. But I mean, the report is that apparently the shooter flew a drone over the site multiple times. I mean, that's pretty interesting. I mean, we had heard that he had visited the site maybe a couple of times before the day of the rally. He was there early that morning, but he may have flown a drone over there to just measure off things and to get pictures. And I mean, it may have been very meticulously planned out. This guy, we don't know a great deal about him, but he wasn't dumb. He had won several awards for his math skills, and he was a troubled individual, apparently bullied a great deal. Now, that seems to be pretty clear. We don't know a whole lot about him, but he wasn't stupid. And so apparently not a very good shot. I mean, he tried to join a rifle team, and they wouldn't let him on because he was, they said, a laughably bad shot. So I don't know about all that. But that stuff is still burbling out there. Let's look at some things, though, about where we stand in the race right now. At the end of the RNC convention, with that now all wrapped up and buttoned up. And by the way, I think Vance and Trump are going to be in Michigan on, when is it? I think Monday, for a big rally. So that'll be interesting. First time they've been out on the campaign trail together. There is a general election poll that came from CBS, which said that if the election were held today, these are general election numbers, which I don't really care a great deal about, but it still is instructive, that Trump would win by 5 points if the election were held today in the popular vote. If Harris was the opponent, he would win by 3, says CBS News. Emerson came out yesterday with a poll that said that if the election were held today and it was Trump-Biden, Trump would win by 4. So there you go. Battleground states, only a couple to talk about. These are 5-way races where you look at Biden and the other opponents would be RFK Jr., West and Stein. In Wisconsin, Trump would win by 3, they say. And if in Michigan, he would win by 2. I've played this soundbite before, but I just think it's such a good soundbite from John King of CNN, where he talks a little bit about how good the numbers look for Trump right now and how bad they look for Joe Biden. And that, as he says, and this is the term he uses, he said, Biden's numbers are in the ditch.
This is President Biden's problem. This is what the Democrats have to figure out what to do in a month, assuming Joe Biden is still the candidate, because Donald Trump did not need to gain voters at this convention. He came into it already with a lead, and a bigger lead than even our projection shows. Our projection now says deep red, solid Republican. Light red, leaning Republican. If Donald Trump won nothing else but what we have shaded red on this map, he would be the next president of the United States. And while we have been here in Milwaukee, we have seen poll after poll after poll showing President Biden's ditch is even deeper, meaning Donald Trump is leading right here in Pennsylvania, in some polls by 5 points or more. He is leading here in Michigan. Sorry, I'll keep that one red. And he is leading where we are in Wisconsin. That's the blue wall. Donald Trump won those in 2016. He was president. Joe Biden flipped him back, and he was president. Joe Biden also flipped Georgia. Donald Trump is leading there. Joe Biden also flipped Arizona. Donald Trump is leading there. Joe Biden won Nevada, and Donald Trump is leading there. And Donald Trump, this is Nebraska and Maine, do electoral college votes by congressional district. You see this one yellow as a toss-up. Biden won it in 2020. At the moment, Donald Trump is getting all of the electoral votes out of Nebraska. And why many Democrats have been saying, we're not going to give you any more money, Mr. President. We want you to get out of the race, Mr. President, is at the moment there's also polling showing that Trump is at least competitive, if not a little ahead in Virginia, competitive, if not a little ahead in New Hampshire. Democrats are worried about Minnesota. Some are worried about Colorado. Some even say a blue state like New Mexico. Look where Donald Trump is there. I'm not saying Donald Trump's going to win 330 electoral votes, but he came into this convention at least over the 270 threshold. And the polling during this convention have shown the president's ditch has gotten even deeper. Why? He's losing in all 7 of what we consider the swing states. More than 7 in 10 Americans say he's too old to be president. 2/3 of the Americans say the country's on the wrong track. So Donald Trump leaves here in the lead with money flowing into his campaign, and Democrats, Anderson, are still having a debate, even about whether Joe Biden should be their candidate. Now they got a month till there's convention. They have time to fix it, but Donald Trump leaves here what I would call a substantial and perhaps even commanding lead.
Are you hearing that? A substantial, if not commanding lead. So, I mean, from the way CNN looks at it, and then everybody plays around on these 270 maps. 270towin.com is a great place to go if you want to play around with it. But I think I have him easily. Okay, I mean he's leading in North Carolina, Georgia, and Nevada for sure. Arizona looks like it's going to be okay. If you take all of the places where he's leading, and add them, and they're including places that you wouldn't expect like Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania, I've got him at 325, which would be a massive win. That would be in landslide territory. And now they're saying things like, well, Colorado could be in play. Colorado, there's 10 more electoral college votes. Let's see what that would be. It would be 335. New Mexico, 5. Is New Mexico truly in play? I don't know. But there's some people say it is. 340. I mean, this thing could be a wipeout. Now, again, I hear you shouting at me, well, Wilson, don't be pumping sunshine. I'm not pumping sunshine. I really believe that right now you could say he's probably got a pretty good chance to pull down 270. I don't know. It could still change. One thing that's true is that, a month in politics is a lifetime. And we don't even know really, honestly, at this point, who the nominee is going to be. I mean, right now it looks like Joe Biden, but who knows what happens by the time the weekend is over. We don't really know. And what would be that piece of information that would push Joe over the edge? And when would he receive it, and who would deliver that news? But I'm telling you, you look at the Republicans right now, they come out of a convention, and Trump has had a great convention. And the events of last Saturday, for better or for worse, I think have unified Republicans in a way that they have never been unified before, maybe since the days of Reagan. And they are excited, and they are pumped about Trump. They are pumped about Trump. It rhymes. And they're convinced that this is their guy. There's a complete and total unity in the Republican Party right now. It's hard to find any Republicans who aren't on board. And certainly if there were, I think they came on board during the convention because it was a perfect, seamless, perfect convention. I can't remember a convention that was this good in a long, long time. The thing ran like a finely oiled machine. And then you look on the other side of the equation, and what you got on the other side is absolute disarray. Now, it is entirely true that that if Biden gets out of the way and somebody else becomes the nominee, Democrats could get enthusiastic about that choice. They're not enthusiastic about Biden at all. They're just not. But if they find that somebody comes along that they can rally behind, then then they'll get enthusiastic and the whole landscape can change. But right now, it's hard to believe that Biden believes he still has a pathway to victory here. I don't see it. I don't know anybody who's an honest broker with the numbers who looks at it and says, "Oh yeah, I can see how he could pull this off." He can't pull it off. It just doesn't look possible to pull it off. So again, the numbers are looking pretty good. It was a good week for Republicans across the board. It was a horrible week for Democrats. I mentioned this earlier. Let me get this in real quick. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals will allow Arizona's new law requiring proof of citizenship to vote in state and local elections to remain in place while it is being challenged in a court of law. I think this is the second state where there have been challenges to laws that say you have to provide your proof of citizenship. I think Tennessee is one of them, where they've said, but it may get challenged, but the law can stay in place right now. So I think that's interesting. I don't know that you're going to get this decided before the election, quite frankly. They're even talking, unbelievably, about how New York might go red. Republicans view New York as ripe to flip into the GOP. Republicans haven't won the Empire State since 1984, when Chris was just a young little lad. How old were you at 84?
5.
Yeah. I wish I could say the same. 50 minutes now past the hour. Are your retirement assets structured to minimize taxes? Think about this. You're a hardworking American, but you could be overpaying on taxes in retirement. You can be taxed on your IRA, your 401k, any other tax-deferred retirement accounts. Beacon Capital Management is here to give you peace of mind. With the threat of massive tax increases just around the corner, your nest egg could be in trouble unless you take advantage of defensive tax-saving strategies now. Defend your hard-earned retirement savings by scheduling a free retirement tax reduction analysis today. No cost, no pressure, no obligation. If you've saved more than $250,000 in retirement, don't wait any longer. Schedule your free retirement tax reduction analysis from Beacon. You'll be glad you did. 615-488-9303 or visit askbeaconnow.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.